Chapter 2676. Phoenix Bloodline. Bang. 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 Old Bai and Old Wu took advantage of the gap, and suddenly took a step forward. Their attacks poured down on Zhuo Wen's body. Zhuo Wen groaned and retreated continuously. He even spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura became extremely weak. Huang Zhe sneered and revealed a trace of cruelty when he saw this. Although the white-clothed young man was clearly only at the extremities of life and death, he was very surprised that he could fight against Master Hun Yuan at the peak. Even he felt that such a genius was amazing. However, he also knew that a genius who had not been able to grow up was nothing. Didn't he still die without a burial ground under his orders? Thinking of this, Huang Zhe felt even more complacent. However, what happened next completely stunned Huang Zhe. Old Bai and the five elders, who had originally repelled Zhuo Wen and wanted to follow up with a victorious attack to completely eliminate Zhuo Wen with their next move, suddenly stopped when their attacks were about to land on Zhuo Wen. Then, the two old men screamed in horror, and their bodies were cut in half by a blade of light. Moreover, the moment their bodies were cut in half, their bodies were annihilated into nothingness under the light of the blade of light. They completely disappeared before Huang Zhe's eyes. What's going on? Huang Zhe rubbed his eyes. Indeed, Old Bai and Old Wu had disappeared before his eyes, just like that. He also discovered that the white-clothed young man Zhuo Wen's right hand was covered in a layer of blade of light. It was this arm covered in blade of light that had passed through the two old men's bodies and completely killed them in one go. Zhuo Wen spat out a mouthful of blood and hurriedly took out several healing pills from his small world. At the same time, he took out a high-grade Heavenly Way origin crystal and circulated his meridians to absorb the energy of the crystal to recover the energy in his body. Earlier, he had been waiting for the moment when Old Bai and Old Wu attacked him together to use the profound Qi Blade. The power of the profound Qi Blade did not disappoint Zhuo Wen. It easily killed Old Wu and Old Bai. However, it was extremely taxing on him. It was as if his body was completely drained. Waves of weakness assaulted his mind. Fortunately, he had many Heavenly Way origin crystals on him. When he used the sky-splitting blade earlier, he had used many high-grade Heavenly Way origin crystals to replenish himself. That was how he was able to kill Old Wu and Old Bai in a single strike. Steel Plume, Fire Plume, help me stall Huang Zhe. Zhuo Wen hadn't recovered from the moment he killed Old Wu and Old Bai. He had to kill Huang Zhe before he could react. Right now, he was too weak and did not have the strength to fight, so he could only ask for help from Steel Plume and Fire Plume. Steel Plume and Fire Plume also knew the severity of the situation. They knew that they had thoroughly offended Huang Zhe and were now on the same boat as Zhuo Wen. They had to keep Huang Zhe alive. Otherwise, if Huang Zhe returned alive, they and the purple-red chamber behind them would be finished. After all, the Huangji family was too big and much stronger than the purple-red chamber. They could not afford to offend them. You dare? Huang Zhe looked at Steel Plume and Fire Plume, who were blocking his way. His face changed slightly, and he trembled with anger. Because Huang Zhe's cultivation was forcefully raised with resources, and he did not have much combat experience, he was quickly subdued by Steel Plume. Even the spirit ring on his hand was taken away by Steel Plume. Brother Zhuo, this is your spoil. Take it. Steel Plume took Huang Zhe's spirit ring and handed it to Zhuo Wen. Zhuo Wen nodded and accepted the spirit ring without hesitation. He was the one who killed Old Bai and Old Wu, so this spoil of war belonged to him. Therefore, he did not refuse. However, when he checked Huang Zhe's spirit ring, Zhuo Wen sucked in a breath of cold air. He found that Huang Zhe's spirit ring also contained a miniature world. Moreover, Huang Zhe's miniature world was much bigger than the one given to him by Steel Plume. The laws inside were also much more complete and advanced. Zhuo Wen even saw countless greenery in this miniature world. It was actually full of vitality. Zhuo Wen did not hesitate to replace the miniature world given to him by Steel Plume. He then erased Huang Zhe's imprint on this miniature world and put Huang Zhe's spirit ring on his finger. Huang Zhe was extremely wealthy. Zhuo Wen saw countless precious divine medicines and materials in Huang Zhe's miniature world. These divine medicines were much more than the ones he had seen before. Zhuo knew that these divine medicines were enough for him to join forces and advance to the primordial chaos level. After all, with so many divine medicines and the Emperor Pillfire's alchemy Dao comprehension, he would really be a pig if he couldn't advance to the primordial chaos level. Moreover, Zhuo also found that there were many top-notch escape talismans in Huang Zhe's miniature world. If Huang Zhe used these talismans, Zhuo might not be able to catch him. Obviously, Huang Zhe had no combat experience at all. After Old Wu and Old Bai were killed, he immediately panicked and didn't even think of taking out an escape talisman to escape. Of course, this also gave Zhuo the opportunity to capture this fellow. Otherwise, if Huang Zhe managed to escape, it would definitely be a huge disaster for them. How dare you? Why aren't you letting me go? Do you want to offend the Huang Ji family? Huang Zhe panicked, and his voice was filled with panic. Since his debut, this was the first time he was caught in such a sorry state. Ha! Zhuo came over and slapped Huang Zhe, causing the latter to be stunned. Zhuo held Huang Zhe in one hand and said to Tong Chimei, "Chimei, do you know where Qin Shui is locked up?" Tong Chimei quickly said, "I know, but the place where elder sister Qin Shui is locked up has been sealed by the Master of Destiny." "Bring me there first," Zhuo said. Tong Chimei nodded and brought Zhuo to the One Shui Palace. After a while, Zhuo and the others arrived at Mu Qinshue's seclusion place. At this moment, Mu Qinshue's seclusion place had long been destroyed and turned into ruins. In the ruins, there were terrifying flames surging. The flames surged and formed an incomparably huge phoenix shadow. The phoenix shadow seemed to be real, and even the feathers on the phoenix's surface were clear as if they were real. Moreover, the fire phoenix's aura was extremely powerful, far more powerful than an ordinary master of Heaven's Path. Even an ordinary master of Heaven's Path might not be as powerful as the phoenix shadow. In the phoenix shadow, there was a beautiful figure sitting cross-legged. This beautiful figure was Mu Qinshui. At this moment, Mu Qinshue's Taoist rhymes were flowing around her body. Clearly, she had successfully become a master of Heaven's Path. Moreover, due to the special bloodline in her body, her aura was far from an ordinary master of Heaven's Path. It's indeed the Phoenix bloodline. Moreover, it's such a powerful Phoenix bloodline. If this woman enters the Phoenix people's nirvana rebirth a few times, she might be even more heaven-defying. Chapter 2677. Zhou Dezhuan came to the edge of the barrier and used the power of the Panga's sacred body to strike the barrier. He couldn't help but take a few steps back as he looked at the barrier in shock. The power contained in the barrier was far above that of the Hunyuan master. It seemed that Tong Chimei was right. The barrier should have been set up by a Heaven's Mandate master. Zhuo was glad that the Heaven's Mandate master wasn't by Huang Zhe's side. Otherwise, he would have to fight with his life on the line. Although he still had the mysterious Ho Yi's divine arrow, he really wasn't sure if he could use it with his current strength. Even if he could use it, he would probably be half dead. How do I open this barrier? Zhuo asked coldly as he lifted Huang Zhe. Huang Zhe looked on coldly and sneered. I think you'd better surrender. Not to mention that you can't afford to offend the Huangji clan. You'll all die when Zoda returns. If you don't want to die, let me go and I won't pursue the disrespect you've shown me. Crack. Unfortunately, as soon as Huang Zhe finished speaking, Zhuo twisted Huang Zhe's right arm and said coldly, I'm asking you how to break this barrier. Huang Zhe screamed in agony, his face pale as he looked at Zhuo in disbelief. Zhuo's eyes were cold. Before Huang Zhe could react, he broke Huang Zhe's left arm again. Huang Zhe's back was covered in cold sweat, and his heart was filled with fear. The white-clothed youth in front of him was a madman. He didn't care about the Huangji clan behind him at all. When Zhuo was about to cripple Huang Zhe's legs, Huang Zhe was so frightened that he immediately struggled and said, I can break this barrier, but you have to let me go. Crack! Zhuo sneered and broke Huang Zhe's right leg. He said, What right do you have to talk terms with me? If you don't want to continue suffering, then open this barrier. Every time Zhuan broke Huang Zhe's limbs, the pain would be magnified in Huang Zhe's soul, making Huang Zhe feel as if he was better off dead. Even those with strong willpower could faint from the pain, let alone this cowardly Huang Zhe. Sure enough, when Zhuan was about to break Huang Zhe's left leg, Huang Zhe's tears flowed down his face as he quickly begged for mercy, indicating that he was willing to open the barrier. Only then did Zhuan stop. Zhuan threw Huang Zhe to the ground. The latter struggled to raise his head and mumbled something that Zhuan could not understand. After a while, Zhuan discovered that the barrier around Mu Qinxue was slowly disappearing. Inside the enchantment, Mu Qinxue seemed to feel that the enchantment around her had disappeared. The raging flames gradually converged and merged into her body. Husband, Mu Qinxue opened her eyes. She was pleasantly surprised to find that the person standing in front of her was the Zhuan she had been thinking about day and night. Zhuan gently stroked Mu Qinxue's hair and said, "Qinxue, we have to leave this place quickly. Also, where are Xiangjuan, Yuezhu, and Magatama? Other than me, everyone else in Wenshui Palace was killed by Huang Zhe. Yuezhu and Magatama are no exception, but little sister Xiangjuan and Palace Master Jingyan went to Xianmi Heavenly Domain with a force from Xianmi Heavenly Domain." Mu Qinxue's beautiful eyes dimmed. She quickly saw Tong Qimei not far away and quickly arrived in front of her. She held Tong Qimei's hands and said in a pleasantly surprised voice, "Junior sister Qimei, you're still here. This is great." But very quickly, Mu Qinxue discovered that something was wrong. Tong Qimei's cultivation had been crippled, and with her divine sense, she discovered that Tong Qimei's face was covered with many hideous scars. Was this done by Huang Zhe? Mu Qinxue's expression changed slightly, and her beautiful eyes were filled with killing intent. Tong Qimei revealed a sorrowful expression. She only nodded silently. She knew that her cultivation had been crippled and her face was ruined. Her life was over. Zhuan summoned the space-time roulette and lifted the half-dead Huang Zhe. "Let's leave this place first. This Huang Zhe still has a Master of Destiny's bodyguard. We need to leave before that bodyguard returns." Mu Qinxue withdrew her killing intent and nodded. She brought everyone into the space-time roulette. When Zhuan was about to activate the space-time roulette to leave, a strong sense of unease appeared in his heart. Zhuan shouted and immediately summoned the Thunderfire Sword. He ordered Xiao He to control the space-time roulette to leave this place. Zhuan used all his might to activate the tyrannical Dao slaughtering technique. In the blink of an eye, he used the 3 moves of the slaughtering Dao finger, slaughtering Dao palm, and slaughtering Dao hand. However, the moment these 3 moves were used, they were struck by an extremely powerful force. After a moment of stagnation, they completely collapsed and were annihilated. Zhuan made use of this time and immediately used the space-time rules to disappear from the original space-time. The space-time roulette had already broken through the air and left. "Husband, big brother." Before the people on the space-time roulette could react, they saw Zhuan being completely annihilated by a wave of energy. This power was simply too strong, causing them to not have the slightest thought of resisting. "You guys leave first. This person should be Huang Zhe's Master of Destiny's bodyguard. It's useless for you guys to stay." Soon, Zhuan's divine sense sounded in everyone's minds. Only then did they realize that Zhuan had unknowingly dodged the terrifying attack and appeared on the other side. However, Zhuan was too far away from them. Moreover, the Master of Destiny's aura had already locked onto Zhuan. If Zhuan also entered the space-time roulette, it would be harming everyone. Everyone on the space-time roulette also realized this. Moreover, Zhuan had already given the order. They could only allow the space-time roulette to quickly break through the air and leave under Xiao Hei's control. After the space-time roulette left, a stream of light quickly came from another direction in the starry sky and landed not far from Zhuan. The man in front of him looked to be about 30 years old, but he had a head of white hair. He wore a loose robe, but still could not hide his strong physique. Zoda, you're finally here? Now that I'm about to be killed by this bastard, and my limbs are all crippled. This is all your fault. If my father finds out, I don't need to tell you what will happen to you, right? The moment Huang Zhe saw the white-haired man, he revealed a look of joy. However, he quickly scolded coldly. Zhuowen could clearly see that after seeing the white-haired man, Huang Zhe's originally trembling body calmed down a lot. Obviously, Huang Zhe was very confident in this white-haired man. Zhuowen sneered in his heart and mercilessly broke Huang Zhe's remaining left leg. Then, Huang Zhe screamed again and again in fear, not daring to speak again. The white-haired man named Zoda narrowed his eyes when he saw that Zhuowen still dared to touch Huang Zhe in front of him, and killing intent flashed. Chapter 2678. Ho E Divine Erozhuan slowly retreated with Huang Zhe in his hand. He had consumed a lot of energy when he used the profound meaning to create the Chi Blade. Although he had used the Heavenly Way Origin Crystal to recover a lot of his primordial Chi and had taken some healing elixirs, he knew that if he were to use the Chi Blade again, he would be seriously injured even if he had a 2-star Pangu sacred body. Moreover, he doubted that in his current state, could he really defeat the white-haired man in front of him with the Chi Blade? From the white-haired man, he could feel that the Destiny Master's strength was far above that of Hunyuan Master. To put it bluntly, even if Old Bai and Old Wu worked together, the white-haired man would probably be able to kill them in one move. Let go of the crown prince and leave your head behind. Zoda only spat out this sentence, but it was filled with an unquestionable command. Zhuowen just stood there coldly. Facing Zoda's ferocious aura, he said indifferently, "What if I don't let go? Then die." After Zoda finished speaking, he took a step forward. His terrifying aura was extremely terrifying, as if the sky had collapsed. Soon after, Zoda suddenly punched out. The force in the air transformed into a powerful hurricane that actually enveloped Zhuowen's entire body. Zhuowen immediately displayed the power of the Pangu's sacred body to protect himself from the raging energy. However, he soon realized that Zoda's target was not him, but Huang Zhe in his hand. Huang Zhe was directly blasted into a bloody mist. Before he died, Huang Zhe died with his eyes wide open and stared at the indifferent Zoda. He only had time to say, "Zoda," before he completely lost his life. Zoda withdrew his fist and was still indifferent. He looked disdainfully at Huang Zhe, who had turned into a bloody mist, and said indifferently, "You're just a playboy. Do you want me to obey your orders? Now that there's a scapegoat here, I'll just kill you. When the time comes, I'll just capture this scapegoat and report back." Zhuowen hurriedly retreated. Looking at Huang Zhe, who had died in Zoda's hands, his pupils could not help but shrink. It had to be said that Zoda was really ruthless. He had actually killed his own master, Huang Zhe. However, he also knew that by killing Huang Zhe's words, it meant that Zhuowen would be the scapegoat. So, Zoda only translation, all Zoda was to kill Huang Zhe in house. It had to be said that Zoda was good. "Kill yourself in front of me. You." Zoda placed his hands behind his back and looked at Zhuowen with disdain. Zhuowen, translation, 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 translation. Zhuowen translation, nin, translation, 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 translations, translation. Translation, 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 translation. Translation, 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 translation. Zhuowen fell silent. The pressure that Zoda gave him was just too great. If he wanted to deal with such a powerful enemy, he would probably have to use a powerful trump card like the Hou Yi Divine Arrow. When Zhuowen used Hou Yi's Divine Arrow for the first time, he could not even activate it. The energy in his body was almost sucked dry. If it was not for the green-haired mummy, Zhuowen's life would have been in danger. Fortunately, Zhuowen had many Heavenly Way origin crystals and had already cultivated the 2-star Pangus sacred body. Zhuowen was confident that if he used Hou Yi's Divine Arrow this time, he could at least shoot it out. Seeing that Zhuowen did not make a move, Zoda frowned slightly. Then he saw that the white-robed young man in front of him had unknowingly taken out an ordinary blood-stained horn. It seems that you're going to resist. Zoda's lips curled into a mocking smile. He did not care that Zhuowen had taken out the blood-stained horn. The blood-stained horn looked weak. It did not look like a powerful treasure at all. It would be strange if he cared about it. Then you'll die. At this point, Zoda's lips curled into a cruel smile. Then he casually clapped his right hand. Suddenly, endless Taoist rhymes condensed into a huge stone platform like an earth-shattering hurricane. The stone platform was golden and had complicated patterns on it. It was a weapon that Zoda had casually condensed with the power of the heavenly way. Although it was just a casual attack, Zhuowen could feel that this attack was much stronger than that of Elder Bai and Elder Wu, who he had killed. After Zoda made this attack, he put his hands behind his back again. His eyes were arrogant, and he did not even look at Zhuowen. In his opinion, Zhuowen, an ant, would definitely die under his attack. With his status, why should he care about the life and death of an ant? Zhuowen stopped in midair and took a deep breath. Then, he chanted a mysterious incantation. Then, the originally ordinary blood-stained horn exploded with a monstrous evil spirit. The evil spirit was just too terrifying. It was almost tangible, forming mountains of corpses and seas of blood around the horn. It was like a scene straight out of hell. Zhuowen paled. 80% of the energy in his body had been absorbed in a single moment. Moreover, the Ho Yi's divine arrow was constantly absorbing his energy. It was about to suck him dry. With this in mind, Zhuowen immediately connected to his miniature world. At the same time, he used the Devourer King's innate ability to devour. He began to madly devour the surging energy in the special grade Heavenly Way Origin crystal mine. In just a single moment, he reached a balance between the absorption and release of the energy. Zhuowen seemed to have become a transfer point for the energy. As the energy constantly flowed in, the evil spirit of the Ho Yi's divine arrow became even more terrifying. It seemed to stir up the sky, and a shocking killing intent locked onto Zoda. Zoda, who was originally unconcerned, felt his hair stand on end. He stared at Zhuowen in disbelief. To be more precise, he was staring at the blood-stained horn in Zhuowen's hand. The killing intent that erupted from the ordinary horn that he did not care about actually made him shiver all over. He felt the true threat of death. Ever since Zoda had become a Heaven's Mandate Lord, this was the first time he had felt such terrifying killing intent. It was enough to make him feel the threat of death. Moreover, the killing intent was becoming more and more terrifying, to the point where he was terrified. Zoda wanted to leave immediately, but the killing intent from the blood-stained horn had locked onto him. He knew that no matter where he fled, the horn would be released and would hit him. It was only a matter of time. Wait, Huangze's death has nothing to do with you. I won't pursue the matter of you killing Huangze. I'll leave right now. Put away this weapon, Zoda immediately said. Zhuowen spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were cold, but his heart was filled with bitterness. He had no choice but to release the arrow now. Even if he wanted to stop it, he probably would not be able to. The Ho Yi's divine arrow was just too terrifying. If he did not release the arrow and it was stained with blood, he would probably be the one to die. Only now did Zhuowen realize just how tyrannical the Ho Yi's divine arrow was. It was fine if he did not release it, but once it was released, it would definitely be stained with blood. Chapter 2679, A Bloody Arrow. What do you want me to do? Sensing the increasingly terrifying killing intent, Zoda finally let go of his pride and tried to negotiate with Zhuowen. His voice even sounded like he was begging for mercy. I want you to die. After saying that, Zhuowen bit the tip of his tongue, spat out a mouthful of blood essence, and sprinkled it on the divine arrow. Whoosh! The divine arrow suddenly shot out, and the powerful recoil directly sent Zhuowen flying thousands of miles away. The divine sword had already turned into a shadow and swept toward Zoda. Zoda roared. A strong sense of crisis made him burst out with all the strength in his body. He also took out all the divine weapons he could use and used them to block in front of him. Bang! 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 Unfortunately, the divine arrow was too terrifying. The divine weapons Zoda took out were like paper in front of the divine arrow. They couldn't even last a breath. Breaking through the obstruction of the divine weapons, the divine arrow made a muffled sound and penetrated Zoda's chest. Zoda even burned his blood essence and tried his best to resist, but he found that it was all in vain. The divine arrow instantly pierced through his chest. Then Zoda only felt his vision go black. His whole body exploded into pieces, and he couldn't be more dead. There was a human-shaped pit in the broken meteorite. Zhuowen climbed out with difficulty. When he saw the scene of Zoda being killed in an instant, he was completely stunned. This Hoi divine arrow was too terrifying. It actually killed a Destiny Master expert in an instant. But soon, Zhuowen noticed the changes in his body. Zhuowen saw that there were 2 flame stars between his eyebrows. The second star was originally very dim, but now it had become extremely bright. Zhuowen knew that he had unintentionally broken through the moment he shot the divine arrow. Of course, when he found that 30% of the special class Heavenly Law Origin Crystal Vein in the small world had been consumed, his joy of making a breakthrough vanished. Just shooting an arrow had consumed 30% of the special class Heavenly Law Origin Crystal Vein. How terrifying was that? Zhuowen knew that he must have absorbed the extra energy to advance to the peak 2-star Pangu sacred body. This Hou Yi's divine arrow is simply too terrifying. Just a single arrow like this actually absorbed 30% of the special grade Heavenly Tao Origin Crystal Mine. Zhuowen muttered to himself in shock. He knew very well that if he did not possess a special grade Heavenly Tao Origin Crystal Mine, not only would he not be able to launch the Hou Yi divine arrow, but he would also be sucked dry by the Hou Yi divine arrow. Zhuowen crawled to his feet with great difficulty and consumed a healing elixir. He barely managed to retrieve the Hou Yi divine arrow that had landed not too far away from him. Then, he rushed toward the mark he had left in the space-time roulette. The disturbance caused by Hou Yi's arrow earlier was just too great, so he didn't dare to stay here for long. Otherwise, he would draw the attention of nearby experts. The current 8 heavenly domains were no longer the same as before. With the continuous influx of cultivators from the Xian Mi heavenly domain, it was easy to encounter Tao-confirming experts. Not long after Zhuowen left, a stream of light swept over from the distant starry sky and landed on the ruins of the Wanshui Palace. It was a bald man in a loose robe. Upon closer inspection, it was Master Yuan Hui, who had sealed the passage to the Eldritch Heavenly Domain. At this moment, Master Yuan Hui's eyes were extremely solemn, and his expression was quite unsightly. He looked around, waved his sleeve, and immediately released several array flags. Then he formed a seal with both hands, as if sensing something. After a while, Master Yuan Hui put away the array flags and sighed softly. I didn't sense the Crown Prince's life aura. It seems that the Crown Prince has been killed. And Zoda, at this point, Master Yuan Hui's eyes were filled with fear. Just now, he had used the array flags to deduce that not only had Huang Zhe's life aura disappeared, but even Zoda, Old Bai, and Old Wu had also lost their life aura. Obviously, the 3 of them were also dead. Putting Old Bai and Old Wu aside, Zoda was the master of heaven. Even in the Huang Ji family, he was considered a powerhouse and a mainstay of the upper echelons. Such a powerhouse was almost invincible in the 8 heavenly domains. Who else could have killed Zoda? Could it be another Dao Mansion level force? Master Yuan Hui muttered to himself and continued to deduce with the array flags. Soon, he caught a few more unfamiliar auras. In particular, there was a terrifying, murderous aura that even made him pale. He knew that Zoda and the others were most likely killed by the owner of the murderous aura. However, when he wanted to follow the murderous aura to find the owner of the murderous aura, he He frowned because he found that the owner of the murderous aura was actually a cultivator at the extreme realm of life and death. I must have made a mistake in my deduction. Master Yuan Hui shook his head. He didn't care about the aura of the cultivator at the extreme realm of life and death. Zoda was the master of heaven, a true powerhouse. Even if there were millions of cultivators at the extreme realm of life and death, they wouldn't be able to kill Zoda. It was no wonder that Master Yuan Hui denied his deduction. There are two other auras that are familiar. This is the cultivation technique of the Purple Red House. I heard that the Purple Red House sent Fire Plume and Steel Plume this time. These two are also here. It seems like I have to ask them about the situation. Master Yuan Hui narrowed his eyes. Although he wasn't responsible for Huang Zhe's death, he was still in the 8 heavenly domains. Now that Huang Zhe was dead, he had to give the Huang Ji family an explanation. He couldn't just pretend that he didn't know anything and go back. With his status, the Huang Ji family wouldn't blame him too much. However, it was inevitable that the Huang Ji family would hold a grudge against him. Master Yuan Hui naturally wouldn't do that. Let's find Fire Plume and Steel Plume first. Master Yuan Hui waved his sleeve and collected the auras of Fire Plume and Steel Plume. Then he sat cross-legged on a meteorite not far away and began to refine them. He planned to refine the auras of the two and then arrange a tracking array. With the auras as a guide, he would be able to track the exact location of Fire Plume and Steel Plume. Of course, this required a very complicated technique and an extremely high level of array Dao. Master Yuan Hui would need a long time to refine them completely. However, once he finished refining them, Fire Plume and Steel Plume wouldn't be able to escape. In a starry sky, the space-time roulette continued to fly and finally came to a stop on a remote meteorite. Will Brother Zhua be all right? Zoda is said to be the strongest guard by Huang Zhe's side. He's a heavens will expert, Tong Chimei said with a sobbing tone. Mu Chenxue fell silent. Her beautiful eyes were filled with worry. Although she was very confident in Zhuowen, his opponent was a heavens will expert after all. He was a second-step Dao, confirming expert, and was much stronger than Old Bai and Old Wu. Fire Plume and Steel Plume looked at each other and saw the helplessness and pity in each other's eyes. They admitted that Zhuowen was very strong, but the heavens will expert had already surpassed the first-step Dao, confirming. No matter how strong Zhuowen was, how could he be a match for Zoda? Chapter 2680. Preparing for pill refinement, the atmosphere on the space-time roulette was bleak and silent. Soon, a streak of light broke everyone's silence. Everyone looked at the stream of light warily, but when they saw the true face of the figure in the stream of light, they were all pleasantly surprised. Husband, Big Brother Zhua, Brother Zhua, everyone couldn't help but call out. Mu Chenxue flew out and threw herself at Zhuowen. Zhuowen felt his body become heavy and a strong sense of exhaustion overwhelmed him. His vision turned black, and he fell into Mu Chenxue's embrace. Chenxue, take me to the far west and find the Ryuka camp. After Zhuowen said this, he fell into Mu Chenxue's embrace and lost consciousness. Mu Chenxue's expression changed. She hugged Zhuowen's body and found that Zhuowen had completely lost consciousness. Her eyes were filled with worry. At this moment, Xiaohei had already controlled the space-time roulette to catch Mu Chenxue and Zhuowen. Big Sister Chenxue, is Big Brother Zhua all right? Tong Chimei asked in a worried voice. Mu Chenxue shook her head and said, He's fine. He's just exhausted too much of his energy and mind, so he fainted. Fire Plume and Steel Plume walked forward. Fire Plume said with mixed emotions, Brother Zhua is the most abnormal genius I've ever seen. He clearly hasn't proven his Dao yet, but he was able to kill Lord Primordial Chaos and escape from the hands of the Master of Destiny. Even the peerless geniuses of Dao Palace forces can't do what Brother Zhua has done. Steel Plume nodded in agreement. Mu Chenxue's eyes lit up when she heard this. She was proud to have a husband like Zhuowen. Whether it was Fire Plume, Steel Plume, or Mu Chenxue, none of them believed that Zhuowen had the strength to kill Zhuoda. They all thought that Zhuowen had narrowly escaped from Zhuoda's hands. Even so, they still felt that Zhuowen was extremely amazing. After all, in their eyes, Zhuowen was only a life and death cultivator. Just think about it. Which life and death cultivator in this world could escape from a peerless powerhouse like the Master of Destiny? We shouldn't stay here for too long. Let's leave this place and head to the far west, Mu Chunshui said. The others nodded slightly. They had also heard Zhuowen's words before he fainted. They knew that the Long clan members that Zhuowen cared about were all in the far west. Zhuowen slowly opened his eyes and shook his head before sitting up. He looked around in a daze. The first thing he saw was Mu Chunshui, who had a happy look on her face, followed by Tong Chimei, Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and Xiao He. Husband, you're finally awake. Mu Chunshui quickly helped Zhuowen up. Zhuowen rubbed his forehead and said to Mu Chunshui, Chunshui, how long have I been unconscious? Mu Chunshui said, you've been unconscious for 3 days. Right now, we're rushing to the far west. We should be able to reach the far west in another day. That's right, husband, since the Ryuka clan is in the far west, why didn't you tell us before? Zhuowen said with a bitter smile. When I was running for my life, I was inexplicably sent to the Six Desires heavenly domain from a blood-stained cliff. After I came back, many things happened, so I forgot to tell you about the Ryuka clan. The 8 heavens are about to change. I have to take the Ryuka clan away. Mu Chunshui nodded. She had heard about the reason for the 8 heavens change from the Fire Plume and Steel Plume from Zhuowen. The 8 heavens were indeed not a place to stay for long. Zhuowen chatted with everyone for a while before looking at Tong Chimei. Seeing Zhuowen's gaze, Tong Chimei unconsciously lowered her head and her eyes flickered. Chimei, I've implicated you in this matter. Don't worry, I'll take care of your cultivation and appearance. Zhuowen said in a gentle voice. Tong Chimei nodded and did not say anything. Her cultivation foundation had been completely destroyed by Huang Zhe, so it would be difficult for her to recover. Moreover, her appearance had been damaged by Huang Zhe's Daorime, which is a permanent injury. Not to mention losing her cultivation. Even if her cultivation was at its peak, it would be difficult for her to recover her appearance. Chunshui, I'm going into seclusion for a while. I plan to refine pills to restore Chimei. This is the Ryuka clan's residence. When the time comes, help me arrange the Ryuka clan's residence. When I come out of seclusion, I'll take the Ryuka clan away. After Zhuowen gave the jade slip with the location of the Ryuka clan's residence to Mu Chunshui, he entered the space-time roulette and went into seclusion. The space-time roulette was made up of space-time laws. Although it didn't look big, there was boundless space inside, enough to accommodate hundreds of thousands of people. Therefore, Zhuowen didn't have to worry about not having enough space when he went into seclusion. Zhuowen sat cross-legged and with a wave of his sleeve, he took out the Emperor Pill Furnace. The Emperor Pill Furnace's grade was very high. Zhuowen felt that even in the Xianmi heavenly domain, this Emperor Pill Furnace was a first-class pill furnace. Moreover, the success rate of refining pills was terrifyingly high. Moreover, Zhuowen had obtained the mysterious alchemy book from the Pill Pagoda, which contained a powerful alchemy art. With that alchemy art, Zhuowen's success rate in refining Dao, confirming divine pills, was much higher than ordinary alchemists. This time, Zhuowen decided to refine 2 types of pills, the facial restoration pill and the nirvana pill. These 2 pills were both heavenly Dao divine pills, and Zhuowen had obtained many pill recipes from Huiyu in the alchemy book. These 2 pill recipes were from the alchemy book. The facial restoration pill was naturally a pill that could restore one's appearance. Moreover, it was specifically used to deal with disfigurement caused by Dao runes. It had a miraculous effect. The nirvana pill, on the other hand, was meant for cultivators whose foundations had been destroyed. It could repair their foundations and restore their cultivation. Of course, since the nirvana pill was only a heavenly Dao divine pill, it could only repair the foundations of cultivators below the heavenly Dao master. Zhuowen was only a tier 9 alchemist. This time, Zhuowen refined these 2 types of pills not only to restore Tong Chimei's health, but also to break through the shackles of Tier 9 in one fell swoop and reach the level of a Heaven Dao alchemist. Of course, if he wanted to improve his alchemy skills, he would naturally need a large number of divine medicines to practice. The main ingredients of the facial restoration pill and the nirvana pill were Heaven Dao divine medicines. Zhuowen had a lot of divine medicines on him. He had obtained many Dao confirming divine medicines in the origin ground and many precious divine medicines in Huang Zhe's small world. His only regret was that he couldn't get Zoda's spirit ring. Ho Yi's divine arrow was too overbearing. When it was shot, it directly pierced through Zoda, causing Zoda's body to be destroyed. Even his belongings were destroyed. Chapter 2681. Young Master Wuchengwen had prepared nearly 100 sets of herbs for the face-restoring pill and nirvana pill. He first started refining the face-restoring pill. Because the face-restoring pill was relatively simple, he naturally planned to go from simple to complicated. This way, the success rate would be higher. Igniting the flame and opening the pill Emperor furnace. The pill Emperor tortoise hidden in the furnace hurriedly came out and fanned the flames for Zhuowen. Ever since Zhuowen had promised the pill Emperor turtle that he would give him a divine pill for every successful cauldron of pills, the pill Emperor turtle had been extremely attentive after Zhuowen had refined pills. The pill Emperor tortoise was the pill Emperor furnace's artifact spirit. Its understanding of the pill Emperor furnace was far above Zhuowen's. With the pill Emperor tortoise's cooperation, Zhuowen was able to refine pills smoothly without much effort. As the pill Emperor tortoise continued to devour the pills, its strength was clearly growing stronger. After tasting such benefits, the pill Emperor tortoise was even more enthusiastic than Zhuowen every time Zhuowen refined pills. This made Zhuowen laugh in his heart. This time, Zhuowen planned to refine Heavenly Dao Grey Divine pills. This fellow was even more enthusiastic and a little nervous. In the past, the pill Emperor Tortoise had only obtained Tier 8 and Tier 9 Divine pills from Zhuowen. It had never tasted a Heavenly Dao Grey Divine pill. Whether Zhuowen succeeded or failed this time was closely related to it. It would be strange if this fellow wasn't nervous. Zhuowen first purified a set of herbs for the face-restoring pill. After feeling that it was about right, he placed the purified herbs into the pill Emperor furnace. The pill Emperor tortoise immediately controlled the flame while Zhuowen formed a pill seal at the side. The pill refining process proceeded in an orderly manner. Gradually, a rich medicinal fragrance wafted out from the pill furnace. This medicinal fragrance contained an inexplicable Dao rhythm. About 2 hours later, a dull explosion came from the pill Emperor furnace. Then, a burnt smell came from the medicinal fragrance. Zhuowen revealed a helpless look. He knew that his first attempt to refine the face-restoring pill had failed. However, Zhuowen wasn't discouraged. Instead, he prepared a new set of herbs and continued to purify them. Then, he placed them into the pill Emperor furnace. Minutes and seconds passed. After Zhuowen refined the 9th set of herbs, he stopped and began to ponder silently. His mind kept replaying the steps and every technique he used to concoct the medicine. He wanted to find the real reason for his failure. The pill Emperor tortoise with a heartache. In the end, it didn't stop muttering about Zhuowen's prodigal actions. After pondering for an entire day and night, Zhuowen finally opened his eyes once more. Then he once again picked up the 10th set of medicinal ingredients and began the purification work. This time, pill refining pill Emperor furnace, to the immortal refining pill, was pill Emperor pill. To Master Zhuowen of heavens Dao, of heavens God furnace. Seeing this, the pill Emperor tortoise revealed a joyful expression. It felt that the pill refining this time was different from the previous 9 times. Suddenly, the pill Emperor furnace buzzed. The medicinal fragrance became extremely dense and turned into surging clouds. Then, the top of the pill Emperor furnace was lifted and 12 pills flew out. Zhuowen took out a jade bottle and placed all 12 pills inside. Zhuowen was pleasantly surprised. This time, all 12 face-restoring pills were successful. He knew that this was all thanks to the mysterious alchemy book's alchemy technique. This alchemy technique was originally to increase the success rate. Since he had found a method to refine heavenly Tao divine pills, the success rate naturally wouldn't be low. After handing one of the face-restoring pills to the pill Emperor Tortoise, Zhuowen sat cross-legged on the ground. He silently felt the process of refining the pill. His eyes revealed a trace of enlightenment. He could clearly feel that his spirit seemed to have improved a lot at this moment. He knew that the moment he successfully refined the pill, he was already a genuine heavenly Tao alchemist. Next, I can refine the Nirvana pill. Zhuowen's eyes revealed excitement. He knew that once he successfully refined heavenly Tao divine pills, the Nirvana pill wouldn't be too difficult for him. Sure enough, with the help of the alchemy technique and the pill Emperor Tortoise, Zhuowen only used one try to refine the Nirvana pill. Moreover, all 12 pills were successful. Zhuowen knew that the moment he became a heavenly Tao alchemist, there was basically no chance of failure in refining heavenly Tao divine pills in his hands. If the alchemists of a Xianmi heavenly domain knew about Zhuowen's situation, they would definitely be dumbfounded. It was really too unbelievable. One had to know that even if a heavenly Tao alchemist refined heavenly Tao divine pills, maintaining a success rate of about 50% was already very heaven-defying. Moreover, even if a second-step alchemist refined heavenly Tao divine pills, it was very difficult to have a 100% success rate. At most, it was 80 to 90%. However, Zhuowen had just become a heavenly Tao alchemist, and he could refine heavenly Tao divine pills with a 100% success rate. It could be said that Zhuowen was absolutely heaven-defying. After putting away the Nirvana pills, Zhuowen prepared to come out of seclusion. Soon, he noticed that his communication jade talisman was ringing. He opened the jade talisman and found that it was a message from Mu Chenxue. After reading the message, Zhuowen's expression changed slightly. He hurriedly opened the restrictions around him and stepped out, arriving on the space-time roulette's deck. At this moment, the deck was ablaze with flames. An incomparably huge phoenix phantom spread its wings and flew high, enveloping the space-time roulette surroundings. On the deck, Fire Plume and Steel Plume were both injured. They sat on the side, paralyzed. Tong Chimei was taking care of the two of them, while Xiao He was controlling the space-time roulette. Only now did Zhuowen realize that outside the Phoenix Phantom, there were actually rays of light descending. It looked like countless meteors were falling, dazzling and dangerous. At the top of these rays of light was an extremely luxurious flying ship. The exterior of this flying ship was built to look like an incomparably huge palace. It was grand and majestic, and it was extremely luxurious. At this moment, there were 3 figures standing at the top of the palace. The person in the lead was extremely young. He looked to be about 15 or 16 years old. He wore luxurious feather clothes, held a feather fan in his hand, and wore a feather crown on his head. His skin was whiter than snow. Standing on either side of the youth were a man and a woman. The man was dressed in black, and his skin was extremely dark. If it were night, it would be difficult to distinguish him from the darkness. The woman was the opposite of the man. She was dressed in white, and her face was frighteningly pale. She looked like a female ghost instead of a normal person. The rays of light were the attacks launched by the feather-clothed youth. The feather-clothed youth's aura was not very strong. He was probably at the level of Heavenly Law Master. However, the feather fan in his hand was not ordinary. With a casual wave of his hand, he unleashed an attack that even Dao Yuan Master would have to deal with. Obviously, he was not an ordinary person. Child Wu Chang, don't you think you have crossed the line? The Purple Red House has no enmity with you. Why are you attacking us? After taking the healing medicine, Fire Plume looked up at the feather-clothed youth. Her beautiful eyes were filled with resentment. Chapter 2682. Merciless crushed the youth named young Lord Wu Chang, shot a disdainful glance at Fire Plume, and said, Fire Plume, what qualifications do you have to talk to me? Although your purple-red house is a Tao Gate level force, it's only trash ranked at the bottom of the Tao Gate level forces. It's not impossible for our Impermanence Palace to destroy your purple-red house. Moreover, it's rare to encounter a woman with the Phoenix bloodline in the eight heavens. So, young Lord Wu Chang, want this woman. Yet you obstruct me in every way possible. Just because of this, I won't be wrong to kill you. Speaking up to here, young Lord Wu Chang waved his feather fan again, and the power of the falling light increased sharply. The Phoenix Phantom that was already on the verge of collapse let out a mournful cry and collapsed with a loud bang. Mu Qinxue grunted, but she was not afraid in the face of danger. After taking a few steps back, she continued to use the power of fire to neutralize the aftershock and landed calmly on the deck. Young Lord Wu Chang obviously did not intend to be heavy-handed. After Mu Qinxue's Phoenix Phantom was destroyed, he withdrew his hand and said indifferently, I say, little beauty, I've taken a fancy to your Phoenix bloodline. With your cultivation, you're still far from being able to fight me. Come with me obediently, and you'll be spared from physical pain. Mu Qinxue ignored young Lord Wu Chang's invitation and came to Zhuan's side in pleasant surprise, whispering softly, Husband, you've come out of seclusion? Zhuan nodded and immediately looked coldly at young Lord Wu Chang in front of him and asked, Who is this clown? Brother Zhua. This young Lord Wu Chang is the young palace master of Impermanence Palace. Impermanence Palace is also a Tao Gate level force in the Eastern Tao territory of the Xian Mi Heavens domain. It's just that its ranking is slightly higher. Fire Plume explained. Young Lord Wu Chang saw that Mu Qinxue was acting so intimately with a man who had just appeared and was only in the twin extremities of life and death. Moreover, this man had openly challenged him and called him a clown. This infuriated young Master Wu Chang, causing him to hold back his anger. Because of his cultivation method, he needed a fire attribute physique, so he immediately sensed that the Phoenix bloodline in Mu Qinxue's body was different, so he made a move. In the end, he was pleasantly surprised to find that Mu Qinxue actually had the Phoenix bloodline. The woman he had taken a fancy to was now calling another man her husband, and she was even acting affectionately. Moreover, this man was an ant in the extreme realm of life and death. How could young Master Wu Chang tolerate this? He couldn't wait to kill this despicable man. Who do you think you are? You are merely at the two extremes of life and death. Yet you still dare to put on an act in front of me. If you're still a man, then come out and spar with me. I want to see if you have the strength to keep the woman I fancy, young Master Wu Chang said coldly. Young Master Wu Chang was sure that the white-robed young man in front of him would definitely not dare to accept the challenge. Once the white-robed young man did not dare to accept the challenge, he would have even more reason to attack. At that time, he would make the white-robed young man suffer a fate worse than death. You want to spar with me? Zhuan had a strange look in his eyes. Not only Zhuan, but Mu Qinxue, Fire Plume, and Steel Plume also had strange looks on their faces. Although Zhuan's aura was only at the extreme realm of life and death, they knew that Zhuan's true strength was extremely terrifying. Even Lord Hunyuan had died in the hands of Zhuan, which showed just how powerful Zhuan was. Young Master Wu Chang's cultivation was only at the heavenly Tao Master realm. Although he relied on the feather fan in his hand to display extraordinary combat strength, he only had the strength of a Tao Origin Master at most. Would he not be looking for trouble if he encountered Zhuan? Young Master Wu Chang raised his chin slightly and said proudly, What? You don't dare to? Why would I dare? Zhuan smiled slightly and swept out of the space-time roulette, standing above young Master Wu Chang and looking down at him. Young Master Wu Chang frowned slightly. He was very unhappy that Zhuan was looking down on him with such an attitude. He sneered, took a step forward, and landed in front of Zhuan, saying, You've got guts, but unfortunately you're going to die soon. The man and woman standing next to young Master Wu Chang frowned slightly, but they did not move. Young Master Wu Chang had just sent a voice transmission telling them not to follow him, and that he would be the one to deal with this battle. Although the two of them felt a little uneasy, they didn't care too much when they thought that young Master Wu Chang was only facing an ant at the extreme realm of life and death. With the feather fan in hand, young Master Wu Chang took a step forward and waved the feather fan in his hand. Instantly, countless rays of light shot out from all directions like meteors and enveloped Zhuo. "You're just an ant, overestimating yourself. You're making me laugh my head off." Young Master Wu Chang gently waved the feather fan and sneered gracefully when he saw the countless rays of light drowning Zhuo. However, after young Master Wu Chang said this, he immediately felt that something was wrong. Because after the rays of light disappeared, he found that the place where Zhuo was originally standing was empty, as if he had disappeared into thin air. "You should have been completely annihilated by my attack," young Master Wu Chang muttered. He did not doubt this. After all, Zhuo was only at the extreme realm of life and death. In his eyes, Zhuo was just an ant. "Young Master, be careful." When young Master Wu Chang was about to turn around and return to the spaceship, the man and woman on the spaceship suddenly shouted. Before young Master Wu Chang could even react, he felt a terrifying gust of wind sweeping toward him, heading straight for his face. Asterisk bang. Asterisk young Master Wu Chang only felt a heavy blow to his cheek, and then his whole body was involuntarily sent flying. His cheeks were red, and he spat out blood. When young Master Wu Chang wanted to see who had attacked him, he found that the person who attacked him had already closed in on him the moment he threw a punch. Only then did he see that the person who had closed in on him was actually the extreme realm of life and death in white that he disdained. At this moment, the white-clothed young man's face was indifferent as his fists rained down on young Master Wu Chang's body. Every punch that landed on young Master Wu Chang's body seemed to be able to break him apart. Young Master Wu Chang roared and tried to get up to resist, only to find that the young man in white in front of him was too fierce. He couldn't get up at all and could only passively endure the barrage of punches coming his way. Young Master Wu Chang was shocked. Is this really the power of the extreme realm of life and death? How could it be so terrifying? Bang! Zhuo clenched his fist and punched young Master Wu Chang's chest. The wind from the punch whistled, like countless thunderbolts spreading out and exploding. Poochie! Young Master Wu Chang spat out a mouthful of blood and fell straight down like a withered leaf. Zhuo jumped down and unceremoniously stepped on young Master Wu Chang's head, making him unable to move at all. Zhuo's eyes were sharp, and his hands were quick. He took the feather fan and the spirit ring from young Master Wu Chang's hand and unceremoniously took them. Ah! Young Master Wu Chang's lungs were about to explode. He kept struggling, but it was futile. Zhuo's strength was too terrifying. It was like 1,000 pounds pressing down on his head, firmly suppressing him. Young Master. Chapter 2683. Tyrannical art of slaying Zhuo Wen's right hand moved like lightning. The power of the two-star pinnacle Pangu, sacred body, burst out and quickly blasted Child Wu Chang's limbs, shattering them. Zhuo then grabbed Child Wu Chang by the neck and lifted him into the air. The man and woman in black and white looked at Zhuo with ghastly expressions. They were also shocked. The young man in front of them was only at the extreme realm of life and death. How could he be so powerful? Do you know who Child Wu Chang is? How dare you act so recklessly? The man in black looked at him coldly and did not hide the killing intent in his eyes. You're just the young palace master of Wu Chang Palace. Is Wu Chang Palace that great? Is it a Dao Palace force? Zhuo said calmly while holding Child Wu Chang. The man in black was stunned. He suppressed his anger and said, although Wu Chang Palace is not a Dao Palace force, it is still one of the top Dao sects. You're courting death. If you don't want to die, you'd better let go of Child Wu Chang. Child Wu Chang calmed down and said coldly, both black and white impermanents are experts of Master Hun Yuan. If you kill me on impulse, You'll face the wrath of black and white impermanence. You'll definitely die. How about this? You let me go, and I'll make a blood oath not to touch you. I'll let you go safely. This is the best way to get the best of both worlds." Zhuan sneered as he looked at the seemingly calm young Master Wu Chang. He knew that young Master Wu Chang's words were a little threatening. Did he think that Zhuan would be afraid of the black and white impermanence in front of him? The black and white impermanents were indeed Master Hun Yuan, but their auras were not as strong as Old White and Old Wu. Old White and Old Wu were both at the peak of Master Hun Yuan, while the black and white impermanents were only at the early stage of Master Hun Yuan. Zhuan could even kill Old White and Old Wu, who were both at the peak of Master Hun Yuan, let alone the black and white impermanents. Child Wu Chang was confident that the young man in white would agree to his proposal. In his opinion, the young man in white was indeed powerful, but how could he be stronger than Master Hun Yuan? "Let you go? I really can't do it. Since you set your sights on my wife, this matter is naturally not that simple," Zhuan said casually. Young Master Wu Chang was dumbfounded and said in disbelief, "Are you not afraid of Hun Yuan, Master? You must be crazy." Unfortunately, as soon as Child Wu Chang finished speaking, Zhuan violently flung him away, smashing him directly at the feet of Mu Qinxue on the space-time roulette deck. The pitiful Prince Wu Chang's limbs had been crippled by Zhuan, and his energy had been sealed. He was now like a mortal, unable to resist at all. He fell to the ground, grimacing in pain. Black and white impermanence. Kill him. Young impermanence had also given up, and Zhuan clearly did not intend to let him go. So, the moment young impermanence was thrown out, he immediately shouted at the black and white impermanence. Black and white impermanence's eyes were filled with murderous intent. This person really didn't know what was good for him. It was obvious that young Master Impermanence was about to bow his head, but this person still refused to give up. If they didn't kill this person, they would never be able to calm down. Whoosh! Whoosh! The black and white impermanence turned into two streams of light, one black and one white. They held black and white swords and aimed at Zhuan's vital points, wanting to completely kill Zhuan. It had to be said that the black and white impermanence's cooperation was extremely tacit. The two of them had obviously blocked all of Zhuan's escape routes. No matter where Zhuan wanted to retreat, he would have to face their attacks. Zhuan stood in place with a sneer on the corner of his mouth. He had no intention of retreating at all. Two early-stage Master Hun Yuan cultivators were not qualified to force him to retreat. Seeing that Zhuan did not evade, the black and white impermanence revealed a ferocious smile. The moment they approached Zhuan, the two of them unceremoniously slashed out with their divine swords. The black and white swords broke through the starry sky and intersected like a pair of scissors. Zhuan's whole body was enveloped by the powerful scissor-like swords, completely drowning in the black and white. "You've overestimated yourself. You deserve to die now." Looking at the figure drowned in the black and white swords, the black and white impermanence could not help but sneer. "Slaughtering Dao Palm." An indifferent voice was heard. Immediately, the two black and white swords suddenly collapsed. A huge palm appeared out of thin air and blasted toward the black and white impermanence. Two muffled groans were heard. Immediately, the black and white impermanents were seen retreating. They looked in horror at the young man in white who was unscathed and had used the slaughtering Dao Palm. The slaughtering Dao Palm was the second move of the slaughtering Dao art. It was so powerful that it could kill a Dao Yuan master. Moreover, Zhuan used the slaughtering Dao Palm with the two-star Pangu's sacred body, so its power was even more terrifying and powerful. This guy has learned the slaughtering Dao art. The black and white impermanents, who had been repelled, looked at Zhuan, who had used the slaughtering Dao Palm, with astonishment in their eyes. The slaughtering Dao art was very famous in the Xian, Mi heavenly domain. It was not only because the slaughtering Dao art was very powerful, but also because the slaughtering Dao art had great limitations. It could only be cultivated to the Dao Yuan master level. Most Dao, proving experts in the Xian, Mi heavenly domain, rarely cultivated Dao arts like the slaughtering Dao art. However, the black and white impermanents were puzzled. Zhuowen was only in the two extremities of life and death. How could his slaughtering Dao palm be so powerful? Zhuowen shook his sleeves and blasted out two more palms. The terrifying power of the heavenly way was like an angry dragon. It condensed into two huge palms and roared toward the black and white impermanence. The black and white impermanence's eyes turned gloomy when they saw the two palms. They found that the two palms that Zhuowen had blasted out were extremely powerful. Even their arms were trembling, and it was difficult for them to resist. The two of them couldn't help but rejoice that Zhuowen hadn't learned the third move of the slaughtering Dao art. The slaughtering Dao palm was already so terrifying. They really couldn't imagine how powerful it would be if he used the slaughtering Dao palm. Just as the two of them were rejoicing, Zhuowen in front of them formed a seal again. Then, the surrounding heavenly way laws began to become chaotic and turned into a storm. Then, two huge arms suddenly stretched out from behind Zhuowen. The two arms were formed purely by the power of the heavenly way. They were invisible but could be sensed. Puchi. When the two slaughtering Dao palms broke through the air and landed in front of the black and white impermanence, the black and white impermanence's heart skipped a beat. They burned their blood essence and sped up to the extreme. They actually planned to escape. Zhuowen's eyes turned cold. He formed a seal with both hands and spat out a mouthful of blood essence. He used the Panga Banner's forbidden profound, Hong Meng Wuji. Suddenly, the space around the black and white impermanence completely froze. Even the heavenly way laws were sealed. The two of them stopped in their tracks. Therefore, this pause was only for a moment, but it was enough to be fatal. Chapter 2684. Dragon Domainjulwin's face was pale, and he almost couldn't stand straight. He immediately took a healing pill, and his figure was no longer in a sorry state. Just now, he had only used the profound meaning of forbidden to stop the black and white impermanence for a breath of time, but it had consumed 50% of his energy. It had to be said that the profound meaning had consumed too much of his energy. He couldn't imagine if he could withstand the terrifying consumption of the profound meaning if he wanted to stop the black and white impermanence for a longer period of time. How is this possible? Young Master Wu Chang stared blankly at the black and white impermanence being turned into nothingness by the Dao slaughtering hand, his eyes filled with disbelief. Zhuowen slowly landed on the space-time roulette's deck and indifferently looked at young Master Wu Chang. Then he said to Mu Chenxue, "Chen Shui, how do you plan to deal with this person?" Young Master Wu Chang trembled. He didn't dare look at Zhuowen's cold eyes, and instead looked at Mu Chenxue with anticipation, hoping to win Mu Chenxue's sympathy. Unfortunately, Mu Chenxue's eyes were filled with coldness. She was very clear that young Master Wu Chang in front of her didn't have good intentions when he wanted to take her away. If Zhuowen wasn't strong enough, not only would Zhuowen be killed, her end wouldn't be any better. Sometimes being kind to the enemy was being cruel to yourself. Mu Chenxue waved her hand and a flame poured out, wrapping around young Master Wu Chang. With a miserable scream, young Master Wu Chang was burned to ashes. Brother Zhua, if you go to the Xian, Mi heavenly domain, you have to be careful of the Huangji family in Wu Chang Palace. You killed people from these two forces, so they definitely won't let this matter rest. Fire Plume said in a worried voice. Zhuowen nodded and said, "Many thanks for Miss Fire Plume's reminder. I won't implicate the two of you in this matter." Fire Plume angrily stomped her foot and said, "That's not what I meant. Don't misunderstand, all right? I know, but I was the one who caused this. It has nothing to do with you." After Zhuowen finished speaking, he continued, "Have you found the Long family's encampment?" Mu Chenxue replied, "Found it. It's about an hour's journey from here, but we were stopped halfway by that young Master Wu Chang. All right, let's go to the Ryuka camp first. All right, Chime, these 2 bottles of medicinal pills are for you." As Zhuowen spoke, He took out the jade bottles containing the rebirth pills and rejuvenation pills and passed them over to Tong Chimei, who stood at the side. "Big Brother Zhuo, what's this?" Tong Chimei asked curiously. These two jade bottles contain the facial restoration pill and the nirvana pill. The facial restoration pill can help you recover your looks, while the nirvana pill can help you recover your foundation and cultivation, Zhuo said. Tong Chimei was pleasantly surprised. She had never doubted Zhuo's words. "You refine these facial restoration pills and nirvana pills?" Fire Plume asked suspiciously. If Fire Plume wasn't wrong, the facial restoration pills and nirvana pills were both heavenly Tao divine pills. Zhuo wasn't a heavenly Tao alchemist in the past, so he shouldn't have been able to refine these two divine pills. Could it be that this guy had broken through? I refined them. I went into seclusion to refine these two divine pills, and I successfully refined them, so I advanced to the heavenly Tao alchemist level. Zhuo saw through Fire Plume's thoughts, and he spoke without hiding anything. Fire Plume was a little numb. She felt that this white-clothed young man was a little too freakish. His strength was already terrifying enough, but he had actually broken through to the heavenly Tao alchemy level in both the Tao of formations and the Tao of pills. "Zhuo, are you really at the extreme realm of life and death?" Fire Plume asked subconsciously. Zhuo was stunned, and then he smiled. "Yes. Then do you know the grade of your ancestral Tao root?" Fire Plume was unwilling to give up. She felt that since Zhuo's cultivation was already so heaven-defying at the extreme realm of life and death, then the ancestral Tao root within his body was definitely extraordinary, and it was very likely to be a top-rate ancestral Tao root. "I haven't tested my ancestral Tao root." Zhuo shook his head. "Let's talk about the ancestral Tao root in the future. As for junior sister Chimei, I intend to hand her over to you. She possesses an Earth-grade ancestral Tao root, and I presume your Violet Red House would be more than happy to have such a genius, right?" Zhuo continued. After experiencing this string of events, Zhuo didn't intend to allow the people by his side to continue staying in Xianmi region. Even though Tong Chimei's ancestral Tao root was sufficient for her to enter a Tao Palace level power, she might not be valued highly, and it was even to the extent that she might be discriminated against in that power because of her background. On the other hand, Zhuo had interacted with Fire Plume and Steel Plume for a period of time, and he knew that they didn't have bad natures. If Tong Chimei joined the Violet Red House, then she would be able to receive their care, and she would definitely be able to develop even better. Fire Plume revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. She'd been coveting Tong Chimei's ancestral Tao root for a long time, and being able to recruit a genius with an Earth-grade ancestral Tao root was absolutely an extremely good thing for the Violet Red House. "Junior sister Chimei, are you willing to join our Violet Red House? Don't worry, I guarantee that our Violet Red House will do our best to foster you." Fire Plume hurriedly looked at Tong Chimei and asked. Tong Chimei glanced at Zhuo, and when she saw him nod at her, she nodded in agreement as well. Fire Plume was pleasantly surprised, and she hurriedly held Tong Chimei's hands. No one knew what they were talking about, but the two of them quickly became extremely intimate. Dragon City was the core of the Dragon Domain. The master of the Dragon Domain, the Ryuka, lived in Dragon City. A huge stone statue stood at the entrance of Dragon City. The statue depicted a young man in white robes. Although the young man wasn't an extremely handsome man, he was extremely pleasing to the eye. All the cultivators who entered Dragon City knew that the statue's owner was called Long One, and it was said that he was the true leader of the Ryuka. The reason Ryuka had been able to develop to its current scale was basically because of Long One. Of course, the cultivators who knew the inside story also knew that Long One had another name, Zhuo. When Zhuo arrived at Dragon City and saw the bustling city, he couldn't help but nod inwardly. During his absence, his parents, grandfather, and big brother Luhan Tian had developed the Ryuka quite well. Moreover, Zhuan's divine sense also detected several figures who were in seclusion in the depths of Dragon City. Among them, Lu Hantian caught Zhuan's attention the most. Because Lu Hantian's cultivation had reached the life enlightenment realm, it could be said that he was the strongest person in the Ryuka. Even his father, Long Xiaodian, was not as strong as Lu Hantian. Zhuan entered the depths of Dragon City and spread out his divine sense, entering the minds of all the Ryuka people. Zhuan, that kid, is finally back. In the depths of the cliff, Lu Hantian suddenly opened his eyes. With a carefree smile on his face, he smashed the surrounding cliff and leaped out. Winter is back. In the luxurious attic in the center of Dragon City, Long Xiaodian and Long Xiangding were playing chess, while Feng Xiao stood on the side and poured tea. At the same time, she was watching the father and son play chess with a smile on her face. But soon, the three figures froze, and Feng Xiao was the first to rush out. Long Xiaodian and Long Xiangding looked at each other and saw a touch of joy in each other's eyes. They quickly got up and left the room. Chapter 2685. Preparations in the Dragon City Plaza. Zhuan led Mu Qinshui and the others as they strolled leisurely. Soon, the Long family's people lined up in front of them. When the members of the Long family arrived, many of the cultivators around the square recognized them. Reverence appeared on their faces as they made way for them. Looking at the members of the Long family who had arrived, they discussed animatedly. Then, the cultivators were surprised to find that the core members of the Ryuka, who dominated the entire Dragon City, were kneeling on one knee on the ground. They were kneeling towards the young man who was strolling leisurely in the plaza. Long Xiaodian, Lu Hantian, and the rest of the Ryuka elites rushed forward and surrounded the young man in the center. They were extremely excited. Some of the sharp-eyed cultivators saw the young man's face and felt that it was very familiar. Then they thought of the stone statue outside the Dragon City and felt that the young man looked exactly the same as the stone statue. This shouldn't be the dragon text, right? Such a powerhouse has returned. The Ryuka is going to rise to another level. I thought that we could still surpass the Ryuka and replace them. Now, it seems that it's not possible. Amidst the discussions, Zhuan was led into the Ryuka residence by Long Xiaotian and Lu Hantian. In the luxurious hall, Zhuan sat on the main seat. Lu Hantian, Long Xiaotian, and Long Xiangding sat on either side of him. Zhuan, are you planning to bring the Ryuka to the Xianmi celestial domain? Lu Hantian suddenly asked. Yes, the 8 heavens are already a place of trouble. If we continue to stay, we will be implicated. No one can avoid it. Zhuan said, is it because of the prehistoric celestial domain? Long Xiaodian asked. Zhuan shook his head and said, it's not all because of the great desolate heaven realm. I'm afraid that the 8 great heavens will turn into the demon realm soon. Zhuan explained in detail about the land of origin on Earth. Although there were many resources in the land of origin, Zhuan also knew that it was now under the control of Dong Wangtai. Entering the land of origin would be courting death. Dong Wangtai had already turned Huaxia heaven region into a devil region. His next move was to turn the other 7 heaven regions into devil regions, making the other 8 heaven regions his territory. After hearing Zhuan's explanation, the Ryuka's faces changed. Zhuan, are you planning to take the entire Dragon City with you? Long Xiangding asked. Zhuan shook his head and said, no need, Dragon City is too big, and there are crooks mixed in with the honest folk. I will only take the real Ryuka, the rest will not be taken away. After the betrayal of the Ryuka, Zhuan was a little disgusted with outsiders who joined the Ryuka. If they were not reliable people, Zhuan would not spend so much effort to take them away. Brother Hantian, father, mother, and grandfather, how long will it take for you to make the arrangements? Zhuan asked. Long Xiaodian pondered for a while and said, it will be very fast, just a day. However, there are many resources in the Ryuka that need to be transported. I'm afraid it will take a lot of time. It will take about 5 days to arrange everything. All right, in these 5 days, you all go and make the arrangements. I plan to go into seclusion again. If I don't come out by then, it's best to use the communication talisman to inform me. After making the arrangements, Zhuowen chose an extremely spacious mansion, set up layers of restrictions, and went into seclusion again. Mu Qinxue and the others did not disturb Zhuowen. They could see that Zhuowen attached great importance to this seclusion. Mu Qinxue and the others guessed right. Zhuowen indeed attached great importance to this seclusion, because he planned to take advantage of these 5 days to madly absorb the Heavenly Way rule energy in the Heavenly Way crystal vein in order to break through to the 3-star Pangu sacred body. Zhuowen directly entered the small world and sat cross-legged in the center of the Heavenly Way crystal vein. Like a whale sucking in water, he began to absorb the Heavenly Way energy in the vein. If Zhuowen hadn't been in the minor world, the commotion caused by him absorbing the Heavenly Tao origin crystals would have definitely alarmed the entire Dragon City. It was just too terrifying. It was like a huge wave had risen up on the surface of the sea. 5 days later, Zhuowen's communication talisman rang, and Zhuowen slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, the third dim star appeared in the flame star between Zhuowen's eyebrows, which meant that Zhuowen's Pangu sacred body had entered the 3-star realm. Of course, it was only at the early stage of the 3-star realm. Zhuowen looked at the Heavenly Way origin crystal vein, which had lost nearly 10% of its original value. He knew that after absorbing so much energy from the Heavenly Way origin crystal vein, he could only barely advance to the 3-star Pangu sacred body. Now, he finally knew how difficult it was to cultivate the Pangu sacred body. Moreover, Zhuowen also knew that the Pangu sacred body was a step every 3 stars, just like the 3 steps of Taoism. Each step had 3 realms. When the Pangu sacred body reached the 3-star realm, it would be extremely difficult to advance to the 4-star realm. The resources required would be unimaginable. Zhuowen knew that even if he absorbed all the energy from the Heavenly Way origin crystal vein, he would at most advance to the peak of the 3-star realm. It was basically wishful thinking to break through the 3-star realm and advance to the 4-star realm. Since there was no hope for him to break through to the 4-star realm, Zhuowen naturally did not plan to use up all the Heavenly Way origin crystal vein. He planned to use the remaining Heavenly Way origin crystal vein to shoot Ho Yi's divine arrows. The remaining 60% of the Heavenly Way origin crystal vein was enough for Zhuowen to shoot Ho Yi's divine arrows 2 more times. Zhuowen clenched his fists. After advancing to the 3-star Pangu sacred body, Zhuowen felt that his strength had multiplied many times. Now, he could kill Hunyuan Master even without using Taoist skills. Even the Heaven's Master would have a hard time killing Zhuowen now. Of course, if Zhuowen reached the peak of the 3-star realm, his strength would increase by several times. He would be able to kill the Master of Destiny with his bare hands. That would be truly heaven-defying. At the same time, Zhuowen also realized that the space within Devourer King's body had begun to evolve into a real world after the strength of his doppelganger had increased. There are also various kinds of rules appearing in it. It would not be long before the space within Devourer King's body became a real world. After leaving the small world, Zhuowen opened the door and found Long Xiaotian, Lu Hantian, Mu Qinxue, and the others there. "Father, is everything ready?" Zhuowen asked. "Everything is ready. This time, we have selected people who are absolutely trustworthy. There are more than 1,000 of them, and they're the backbone of our Ryuka," Long Xiaotian said. "Good. Bring them into the space-time roulette. There are countless spaces in the space-time roulette. It is more than enough to accommodate more than 1,000 people." Chapter 2686. The Phoenix people in the cold and dark starry sky. A broken meteorite exploded, and a green-haired corpse flew out from the meteorite, its eyes glowing with a green light. The green-haired corpse looked in the direction of the Hua, Xia heavenly region, and muttered to itself, "Dongwang Tai is really fast. He has already begun to expand his territory, but this is good too. With Dong Wang Tai causing such a huge commotion here, I think he will attract the attention of the sorcerer tribe. At that time, he won't notice me. The green-haired corpse laughed and came to the seal. Then it punched the seal, and the terrifying fist force formed a terrifying spiral vortex. Crack, crack, crack. A dull sound rang out from the seal, and then countless cracks appeared on the surface of the seal. In the end, it collapsed into countless spots of light. Break again. The green-haired corpse punched again, and the gap in the seal expanded several times. It looked like an endless black hole, and it was terrifying. The moment the seal was broken, the green-haired corpse turned into a green light and disappeared from the hole. Not long after the green-haired corpse disappeared, the black hole was filled with ghostly wails and howls. Then, black shadows swept out from the depths of the black hole like ghosts. Their voices were sharp and ear-piercing. The seal has been broken. Although I don't know who did it, it's a good thing for us. I heard that there are many humans in the eight heavens. Other than fighting in the starry sky, I haven't seen a human for a long time, let alone have a taste of one. I miss it so much. Since we're already out, let's kill to our heart's content, huh? The evil conversation, accompanied by the black shadows, continued to ring out. Rumble. Suddenly, a terrifying flame spewed out from the depths of the black hole. The black shadows that were still lingering at the entrance of the hole screamed the moment they came into contact with the flame, and then they were annihilated into ashes. Leave quickly. It's the Phoenix People's Almighty. What's going on? The Phoenix People are one of the four Shenzhen and one of the top 10 races. Why would such an almighty be interested in the eight heavens? Who knows? If we encounter such an almighty, we should try to avoid them. Otherwise, we won't even know how we died. The black shadows were afraid, and they all ran away, not daring to get close to the black hole. The flame was still raging at the entrance of the black hole, and it was getting more and more intense. The flame was extremely terrifying. As it burned, the surrounding stars were distorted as if they disappeared. When the flames reached their most terrifying state, a figure slowly walked out. It was a tall man wearing a flaming armor, like a flaming god of war. This man's skin was a healthy wheat-colored color. His face was resolute, as if it had been carved by a knife. The edges and corners of his face were distinct, and there was a flame mark between his eyebrows. This person's flame mark was completely different from the flame star on Zhuo Wen's forehead. The flame star on Zhuo Wen's forehead was more like a dot, but this person's flame imprint was like a vivid flame. There is a member of our race in the barren eight heavens, and he has awakened the Phoenix bloodline, which resonates with our ancestral land. He must be an extraordinary bloodline inheritor. We must bring such a genius back to the Phoenix people. If he is discovered by the human race or other races, our race will be destroyed. The flame mark between the man's eyebrows kept flashing. He looked forward with a hint of worry in his eyes. He knew very well that anyone who could resonate with the ancestral land was an earth-shattering, almighty figure in the Phoenix clan. Now, another such genius had appeared among the Phoenix people. It was a great fortune for the Phoenix people. However, such a genius was still wandering outside. It was very dangerous. If someone found out that he had the powerful Phoenix bloodline, he would be in great danger. We have to find this person as soon as possible. Fortunately, I have already informed the elders of our race. They will be here soon. I hope I'm not too late. The man murmured worriedly. Then he stepped on the starry sky with his right foot and rushed forward like a bolt of lightning. He was also a Phoenix people. He had a special ability to sense the bloodline of his own race. Therefore, the moment he entered the starry sky, he sensed the person who had awakened the Phoenix bloodline. Now, he was going to the place where that person was. Zhuowen watched as the Ryuka people entered the space-time wheel. When all the Ryuka people had entered, Zhuowen turned to Fire Plume and Steel Plume and said, "When we leave the great Brahma heaven domain and enter the starry sky, we will have to part ways. I hope you can take them to the Xian Mi heaven domain first." "Brother Zhuo, what do you mean?" Fire Plume and Steel Plume asked in surprise. Mu Chinxue also exclaimed, "Husband, Are you not coming with us? I still have some things to do. I might be a little late. Zhuowen smiled helplessly. He had collected the 3 space-time keys for some time, but he had not had the time to enter the space-time temple. Now that he was about to leave the Xianmi heaven domain, he naturally had to go to the space-time temple to take a look. Perhaps he would gain something. Mu Qinxue seemed to have guessed something. She nodded slightly and said with a smile, "Husband, be careful." Zhuowen chuckled. He hugged Mu Qinxue and said, "Qinxue, don't worry. Your husband's life is very tough." Mu Qinxue giggled and flirted with Zhuowen. Then, Zhuowen arranged for everyone to enter the space-time wheel and leave the Dragon City. Half a day later, the space-time wheel had left the great Brahma heaven domain and entered the starry sky. The starry sky was filled with countless dead stars and trash stars. The entire starry sky was pitch black and lifeless. After Zhuowen entered the starry sky, he immediately flew towards the heavenly moat. However, after flying for 2 hours, Zhuowen's pupils shrank. He felt an intense uneasiness in his heart. It was this uneasiness that made Zhuowen immediately stop the space-time wheel. "Husband, what's wrong?" Mu Qinxue looked at Zhuowen in surprise. Not only Mu Qinxue, but the rest of the people on the space-time will also looked puzzled. "We have entered a huge trap array. I didn't notice it just now, but now I feel that something is wrong." Zhuowen's voice was gloomy and his heart was heavy. He had just become a heavenly Tao divine array master, and his understanding of array Tao was already very deep. However, he did not notice the trap array in front of him. He only realized that something was wrong after he had completely entered the trap array. He knew that the person who set up the trap array was definitely an extremely high-level divine array master. However, Zhuowen was puzzled. Why did the master of the trap array set up a trap array to trap them? Chapter 2687. Master Yuan Hui, what? We've entered an entrapment array? Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and the others were also shocked, and the confusion in their eyes became even more intense. Their understanding of array formations was only superficial, so until now, they had not realized that they were already in an entrapment array. Zhuowen narrowed his eyes slightly, waved his sleeve, and summoned 81 beast bone array discs. After setting up a heavenly Tao-level defensive array around the space-time roulette, a powerful divine sense was born. His divine sense was much more advanced than his realm, and after sweeping around, he found a figure hiding directly below. Huh, what a powerful divine sense. You're just at the 2 extremities of life and death, yet you actually have such a powerful divine sense. It's really incredible. This figure also knew that he had been discovered by Zhuowen's divine sense, so he simply stopped hiding and openly appeared in front of the space-time roulette. Zhuowen looked over and found that the figure in front of him was a bald man in a loose robe. At this moment, the bald man was looking at Zhuowen with great interest, showing great interest in Zhuowen. Master Yuan Hui, Fire Plume and Steel Plume's faces changed drastically, and they cried out in fear, their bodies trembling. "Your Master Yuan Hui." Zhuowen's eyes flickered. Fire Plume and Steel Plume had mentioned Master Yuan Hui to him before. He knew that Master Yuan Hui was an eternal-level divine array master sent by the Huangji family to repair the seal, and his array Tao had reached the acme of perfection. With just the array Tao, Master Yuan Hui could easily kill a master of heaven like Zoda. After all, the two were not in the same realm. Master Yuan Hui smiled slightly, and his eyes fell on Fire Plume and Steel Plume, and said casually, "Do you know about the death of Crown Prince Wangza?" Fire Plume's pretty face turned pale, and she forced a smile. "Master Yuan, we must be joking. We haven't even met Crown Prince Wangza, so how could we know about this?" Grandmaster Yuan Hui nodded and continued. "However, when I was at the place where Crown Prince Huangze died, I extracted the auras from the 2 of you. When Crown Prince Huangze died, the 2 of you should have been present, right?" Fire Plume and Steel Plume were frightened, and they stammered, unable to speak. Master Yuan Hui's deterrence was too strong. This was a true, eternal level divine array master. Even the master of Purple Red House had to be respectful in front of Master Yuan Hui, not daring to show any neglect. This was a real big shot. To put it bluntly, such a big shot killing the two of them was no different from crushing an ant. Once Grandmaster Yuan Hui had the intention to kill them, they would definitely die without a doubt. Zhuowen's previous performance was extremely strong, but in the eyes of Fire Plume and Steel Plume, Zhuowen was far inferior to a big shot like Master Yuan Hui. Speak. With the strength of the two of you, you can't kill Huangzi. As long as you tell the truth, I won't make things difficult for the two of you, and I won't go back to the Huangji clan to spread rumors. Everything has nothing to do with you. Master Yuan Hui's voice was calm, but under this calmness, there was an unimaginable killing intent. Zhuowen looked on coldly. He wanted to see how Fire Plume and Steel Plume would answer Master Yuan Hui's questions. Sure enough, Fire Plume and Steel Plume felt their scalps go numb, but Fire Plume stubbornly said, Master Yuan Hui, we also happened to pass by after Crown Prince Huangzi fell. We don't know who killed Crown Prince Huangzi. Master Yuan Hui was still smiling, but this smile contained monstrous killing intent. The two of you have done well. Since the two of you don't know who the real murderer is, then die. As soon as Master Yuan Hui finished speaking, a huge vortex appeared above Fire Plume and Steel Plume. Immediately, the vortex's energy condensed into a huge hand that covered the sky and came crashing down towards Fire Plume and Steel Plume. At this moment, Fire Plume and Steel Plume were still on the space-time roulette. This attack was obviously not just aimed at Fire Plume and Steel Plume. Master Yuan Hui intended to kill everyone on the space-time roulette. Fire Plume and Steel Plume were so scared that their faces turned pale. The two of them were so scared that they didn't even dare to resist. Zhuowen looked at Fire Plume and Steel Plume and couldn't help but shake his head. Immediately, he took a step forward, clenched his right fist, and punched out fiercely. Ever since Zhuowen had advanced to the 3-star Panga's sacred body, his strength had increased exponentially. He wanted to test how powerful his 3-star Panga's sacred body was now. Boom! The fist tore through the starry sky and smashed into the vortex hand. Zhuowen groaned and retreated dozens of steps. The vortex hand collapsed into countless light spots. Master Yuan Hui, who had his hands behind his back and didn't care, suddenly let out a soft cry of surprise when he found that the vortex hand had been shattered by Zhuowen's punch. He looked at the young man in white not far away with some surprise. In his perception, the young man in white didn't have a strong aura. He was only at the two extremities of life and death. How could he have such powerful strength? Did you kill Crown Prince Huangzi? Master Yuan Hui suddenly asked. It had to be said that Master Yuan Hui's reaction was very fast. After Zhuowen showed his powerful strength, he had some guesses. Zhuowen looked at Master Yuan Hui with a grave expression. His heart was gloomy. The blow just now was obviously a casual blow for Master Yuan Hui, but had made him so embarrassed. He knew that now that he had condensed the 3-star Panga's sacred body, there was a big gap between him and Master Yuan Hui. If they really fought, Zhuowen wouldn't be a match for Master Yuan Hui at all if he didn't use the profound meaning. Thinking of the profound meaning, Zhuowen felt bitter. Although he had advanced to the 3-star Pangu sacred body, his use of the profound meaning was still at the most basic level. Although he could use the profound meaning for a longer time, he still couldn't use it for too long. Moreover, Zhuowen also found that the power of the profound meaning increased with the advancement of his Panga's sacred body. The moment he advanced to the 3-star Panga's sacred body, he used the profound meaning again. The power was much stronger than when he was still at the 2-star Panga's sacred body. Master Yuan Hui saw that Zhuowen was silent and didn't answer his question. He frowned and was a little unhappy. In fact, he asked the question even though he already knew the answer. This young man had such powerful strength, and he was with Fire Plume and Steel Plume. He was undoubtedly the most suspicious person who killed Huangzi. Of course, He didn't think that Zhuowen was responsible for Zoda's death. After all, Zoda was a destiny master. Although the young man in white in front of him was somewhat extraordinary, he was still far from being able to kill a destiny master. Chapter 2688. Chapter 2688. New YORK clansman brat who killed Zoda? Master Yuan Hui continued to ask. If you let them go, I'll tell you who killed Huang Zhe and Zoda. Zhuowen pointed at the space-time roulette behind him and said calmly. Master Yuan Hui chuckled and said coldly, Do you think I'm a fool? Now that you're trapped in my trap array, your life and death are in my hands. Killing you is as easy as flipping my hand. Why should I let them go? Do you really think I can't break your trap array? Zhuowen narrowed his eyes and said coldly. Master Yuan Hui was stunned and immediately laughed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. Even a god array master of the same level would need a certain amount of time to break the trap array set up by him, an eternal great array master. However, this white-robed youth in front of him actually dared to say that he could break his trap array. He was really laughing his head off. Master Yuan Hui could tell at a glance that this white-robed youth came from the Eight Heavens domains. A guy who came from this barren land without resources was probably not even a heavenly great array master. Yet he dared to say that he could break his trap array. Zhuowen ignored Master Yuan Hui's ridicule and silently circulated the energy in his body. He immediately used the profundity of restriction he obtained from the Panga banner, Primordial Chaos Infinity. Primordial Chaos Infinity, as the name suggested, could imprison anything. This profundity was similar to the array Dao restriction of cultivators, but it was superior to array Dao restriction. Moreover, Zhuowen also found that Primordial Chaos Infinity not only had the ability to imprison, but also had the ability to break restrictions. As long as it was related to restrictions, Primordial Chaos Infinity could break it. Master Yuan Hui's trap array was indeed powerful, but Zhuowen was more confident in Primordial Chaos Infinity. Primordial Chaos Infinity was the profundity of the Panga banner. Although Primordial Chaos Infinity might not be able to completely break the array restriction, Zhuowen believed that it would not be a problem to break a small gap and let the space-time roulette escape. Thinking of this, Zhuowen waved his right hand and the power of Primordial Chaos Infinity swept out. It turned into a purple light and landed on the edge of the trap array on the left. Master Yuan Hui saw this scene and did not stop it. However, the mocking smile on his face became even more intense. In his opinion, Zhuowen was just a joke. He wanted to see what would happen to this guy who was seriously injured by the backlash of the trap array restriction. His trap array was not an ordinary trap array. It also contained a powerful killing intent. Once a cultivator was trapped inside and tried to escape from the trap array, they would suffer a backlash from the trap array. However, what happened next made Hui's eyes too, was Yuan Hui was stunned Chaos Infinity ITY. He realized that the moment Zhuowen's attack landed on the edge of the trap array, the energy shield at the edge of the trap array shook violently. Then a huge gap cracked open. Then, Zhuowen immediately controlled the space-time roulette and escaped from the gap before Master Yuan Hui could react. This guy? How'd he do it? Master Yuan Hui muttered to himself after he came back to his senses. He was furious. An existence that he regarded as an ant had escaped from the trap array he had set up. This was a slap to his face. I must kill you. Master Yuan Hui's killing intent was monstrous. He immediately took a step forward and chased after the space-time roulette at an extremely fast speed. In the space-time roulette, Zhuowen's eyes were gloomy. He realized that Master Yuan Hui was constantly approaching from 100,000 miles behind him. He had already pushed the space-time roulette's speed to the limit, but he still couldn't shake off Master Yuan Hui. Instead, the distance between them was constantly being pulled closer. Zhuowen knew that he couldn't continue like this. Otherwise, Master Yuan Hui would eventually catch up to him. You guys go first. I'll hold off Master Yuan Hui. Zhuowen summoned Xiao He and let Xiao He control the space-time roulette. Before anyone could react, he had already rushed out of the space-time roulette and faced Master Yuan Hui. When everyone finally reacted, they could only vaguely see Zhuan's back standing in the distant starry sky. Brother Zhua is going to face Master Yuan Hui alone? Fire Plume asked worriedly. As a cultivator of the Xianmi heavenly domain, Fire Plume knew very well how terrifying Master Yuan Hui was. Even a second-step Dao validation cultivator would be extremely cautious in front of Master Yuan Hui, let alone Zhuan. Mu Qinxue frowned slightly and remained silent. Look, something is rushing towards us. Suddenly, Tong Chimay pointed at the distant starry sky in front of the space-time roulette. There, a light spot was rushing towards them at an incredible speed. Its speed was so fast that it shocked the world. What is that? It's so fast. Fire Plume exclaimed in surprise. Mu Qinxue also raised her head to look at the light spot. Her beautiful eyes revealed a confused look. She didn't know why, but the aura emitted by the light spot gave her a sense of familiarity. It was a very strange feeling. It's a ball of flames. It seems like there's a figure in the flames. Tong Chimay cried out in alarm when the speck of light got closer. Mu Qinxue, Fire Plume, and the others finally saw the figure in the flames clearly. Moreover, the figure was rushing towards them, which made them extremely puzzled. Whoosh! The flame landed in front of the space-time roulette. Immediately, the robust man surrounded by flames knelt on one knee and faced Mu Qinxue's direction. This lowly one, Kong Shi, of the Phoenix people, pays his respects to Milady. Mu Qinxue was stunned when she heard this. Fire Plume and the others were even more stunned. You're from the Phoenix people? Fire Plume asked with a strange look in his eyes. Kong Shi coldly glanced at Fire Plume until the latter felt uncomfortable. Only then did Kong Shi's gaze fall on Mu Qinxue. His eyes were blazing with intense passion. His heart was surging with excitement because when he approached the woman in front of him, Kong Shi could clearly feel his bloodline boiling, trembling, and fearful. Only the truly noble experts among the Phoenix people could cause such an abnormal reaction in his bloodline. They were also the true rulers of the Phoenix people. There was no doubt that the beautiful woman in front of him was not only one of his clansmen, but also possessed an extremely rich Phoenix bloodline. She was extremely extraordinary. No wonder she could resonate with the ancestral land. This clansman in front of me is a true genius. If she can enter the Phoenix people's nirvana rebirth, she will be even more heaven-defying. Our Phoenix people will have hope of rising again. Thinking of this, Kong Shi's reverence for Mu Qinxue grew even more. In the Eldritch Heaven domain, all the races valued bloodlines. The nobility of one's bloodline also determined one's future achievements and directly affected one's future path. Chapter 2689. Kong Shi. Although Mu Qinxue didn't know the origins of the Phoenix people, she could guess that the Phoenix people had something to do with the Phoenix bloodline in her body. Moreover, from Kong Shi's attitude, Mu Qinxue could also guess that the Phoenix bloodline she had awakened was extraordinary. Otherwise, Kong Shi wouldn't be so respectful. Although Mu Qinxue could not see through Kong Shi's specific cultivation, from the powerful aura faintly emanating from Kong Shi, Mu Qinxue knew that this Kong Shi in front of her must be a second-step Dao confirming expert. Mu Qinxue's eyes lit up when she thought about how her husband was facing Master Yuan Hui alone. My lord, you have an extremely powerful Phoenix bloodline in your body. It's too dangerous for you to be outside. Not only will the Xianmi heavenly domain's human race covet you, but if the other races in the primitive heavenly domain detect your bloodline, they won't let you go either, Kong Shi said respectfully. What do you mean? Mu Qinxue asked calmly. Follow me to meet the Phoenix people. Your bloodline is so powerful. If you can obtain the power of nirvana, you will become the new saintess of the Phoenix people. You will enjoy endless glory and become extremely powerful, Kong Shi said. Mu Qinxue didn't answer Kong Shi directly. Instead, she said calmly, just now, a divine array master of the human race chased after me. In order to save me, My husband blocked that divine array master alone. Now, you have to help my husband. Kong Shi was stunned and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He didn't expect Mu Qinxue to have a Tao companion. Moreover, from the way she addressed him, it could be seen that Mu Qinxue valued her Tao companion very much. This made Kong Shi very unhappy. In Kong Shi's eyes, Mu Qinxue was bound to become the saintess of the Phoenix people. Since she was the saintess, she had to be pure. How could she have a Tao companion? If this matter were to spread to the ears of the other clans, it would be a disgrace to the Phoenix clan. However, Kong Shi naturally wouldn't say this in front of Mu Qinxue. After all, once Mu Qinxue joined the Phoenix people, her status would instantly surpass his. He didn't dare to offend his future boss. However, Kong Shi was already unhappy with the Tao companion mentioned by Mu Qinxue. If there was a chance, he wouldn't mind making that person suffer a little. What? You're not willing? If you don't want to, I won't force you, but I won't go to the Phoenix people either. When Mu Qinxue saw Kong Shi's embarrassed expression, her beautiful eyes immediately turned cold, but her heart was a little anxious. Right now, she couldn't find a strong helper. Kong Shi, who had delivered himself to her door, was obviously not weak. If she had Kong Shi's help, she might be able to fight against Master Yuanhui. Kong Shi smiled bitterly and hurriedly said, "My lady, you must be joking. As long as it's your order, Kong Shi naturally won't refuse. Now, please lead the way. Kong Shi will go and take a look. Come with me." Mu Qinxue nodded and calmly instructed Xiao He to return the way they came. Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and the others stood on the deck and didn't say a word. They also knew that they couldn't interrupt. They could feel that Kong Shi's aura was extremely powerful. It might not be weaker than Master Yuanhui. They absolutely didn't dare to casually interrupt such a big shot. After all, Kong Shi was polite to Mu Qinxue because Mu Qinxue had a powerful Phoenix bloodline. Otherwise, with Kong Shi's strength, how could he be so polite to Mu Qinxue, who was only the heavenly Tao master? Moreover, they weren't Mu Qinxue. If they casually interrupted, Kong Shi would probably immediately teach them a lesson. Zhuowen took a deep breath and put his left index and middle fingers together. Then he suddenly hooked them up and circulated the profound meaning of forbidden, primordial chaos infinity, and blasted it behind him. Instantly, the formation disk that Master Yuanhui had thrown out was blasted to smithereens by Zhuowen's hook. The killing formation contained within also vanished like smoke. Grandmaster Yuan Hui's eyes were overflowing with killing intent. The formations he had unleashed time and time again were actually ineffective against Zhuowen. They were all destroyed by him. This made Grandmaster Yuan Hui feel both shock and anger toward Zhuowen. He wanted nothing more than to immediately kill Zhuowen. Of course, Master Yuanhui was also extremely puzzled. His level in the Tao of formations was already considered high. In the Xianmi heavenly domain, there weren't many people who could surpass him in the Tao of formations. It was very difficult for ordinary people to break through his formations, let alone someone like Zhuowen, who was able to shatter his formations in an instant. This was just too strange. Master Yuanhui guessed that Zhuowen definitely had some kind of treasure that specialized in restraining formations. If he could obtain this treasure in Zhuowen's hands, Master Yuanhui's heart couldn't help but burn. When the time came, he would be even more fearless when facing those difficult formations. This would be extremely useful for him when he entered the secret realm in the future and broke through the great formations. I have to kill this kid. Not only is his strength terrifying, but he also has this kind of method to break formations. He definitely has a huge secret. Once I kill him, all his secrets will be mine. Grandmaster Yuan Hui thought to himself. His methods had indeed become even more ferocious. Master Yuan Hui waved his sleeve and actually took out a chessboard made entirely of crystal from his small world. Master Yuan Hui formed a seal with both hands, then slapped his palms on the chessboard. An invisible ripple rapidly swept out from the chessboard. It moved extremely quickly. Zhuowen only felt a gentle breeze brush past his face. Afterwards, he became puzzled. Afterwards, he discovered that there were two lines that intersected beneath his feet. He was familiar with this intersection. It was the intersection of the lines on the chessboard. He looked around and discovered that the starry sky had formed a huge chessboard. Zhuo Wen, on the other hand, seemed to have become an insignificant chess piece on this huge chessboard. This is a life-bound God artifact that I've refined after studying it for a very long time. It's called the world of chess. In the world of chess, your life and death are no longer up to you. Master Yuan Hui hovered in the center of the chessboard. He looked down at Zhuowen indifferently, as if he was looking down on all life. Zhuowen's heart sank. Although his movements were not restricted by much as he stood on the chessboard, a layer of haze appeared in his heart. Bang! 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 As expected, a white chess piece suddenly shot out from the nearby chessboard. Instead of calling a chess piece, Zhuowen felt like it was more like a huge, white rock. It just looked like a chess piece. Rumble. The chess piece moved extremely quickly. It shot through the air and landed above the intersection where Zhuowen stood. Afterwards, it plummeted straight down as if an invisible hand had grabbed the chess piece and wanted to land it on the intersection where Zhuowen stood. Zhuowen wanted to dodge, but he discovered that the lines on the chessboard began to light up the moment he raised his foot. Afterwards, he discovered that the lines were indestructible, revolving around Zhuowen. Chapter 2690. Predicament. When also sensed the power and danger of these lines. In the end, he did not take a step forward. Instead, he faced the huge chess piece that was flying towards him. Zhuowen did not hesitate to unleash the power of the three-star Pangu sacred body. He punched out, and a series of explosions came from the starry sky. It was as if something powerful had exploded inside the starry sky. Boom! Zhuowen's heart sank when his fist landed on the chess piece. This was because he found that the strength of the chess piece was beyond his expectations. Seal. Zhuowen did not hesitate to use the ultimacy, Hongmeng Wuji, to seal the chess piece in midair. He then jumped up and landed on the chess piece. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The moment Zhuowen landed on the chess piece, other chess pieces also flew out from the other positions on the chessboard. These chess pieces were black and white, but they all had the same goal. They were all heading towards Zhuowen. Zhuowen activated Hongmeng Wuji to the extreme. The moment the chess pieces landed in front of him, they were all frozen in midair by his Hongmeng Wuji ultimacy. They became his stepping stones. Zhuowen also relied on these chess pieces to pave the path under his feet. The end of the path was the position of Tian Yuan, which was also where Master Yuan Hui was. Master Yuan Hui looked at Zhuowen, who was getting closer to Tian Yuan, with a look of surprise. He did not expect this guy to come up with such a way to get close to Tian Yuan. The world of chess is dominated by me. You can't get close to Tian Yuan. Master Yuan Hui shook his head and then stomped his right foot. Suddenly, the lines on the chessboard broke away and leaped into the sky. They chaotically intertwined and formed an unprecedentedly huge monster with a human face and a snake's body. Roar! The monster with a human face and a snake's body opened its huge mouth and exuded a choking stench. Master Yuan Hui sneered as he looked at Zhuowen, who was still dealing with the chess pieces around him. He did not think that Zhuowen could escape his attack. Zhuowen looked at the monster that was rushing towards him and frowned. He formed a seal with his right hand and used the Ultimacy Sky opening blade. The surface of his right palm turned into a blade. A faint light covered the surface of his palm. It was as if a light blade had suddenly shot out. Roar! The Sky Opening Blade, which stood Sky Opening Blade, landed on the head of the monster. Sky Opening Blade. The monster Sky Opening Blade. The Sky Opening Blade. Puffed. Blood. Zhuowen blood, his face, and his face. Using two ultimacies at the same time is a Sky Opening Blade. Is Sky Opening translation using ultimacy. Zhuowen looked at the shocked master Yuan Hui and used his left hand to use the ultimacy Primordial Infinity. He stopped the chess pieces that were rushing towards him and began to change their paths in an attempt to escape from the chessboard. Master Yuan Hui came back to his senses. When he saw that Zhuowen was trying to escape, he immediately thought of the move that Zhuowen had just used. It must have been his greatest trump card and consumed a lot of energy. Master Yuan Hui, of course, would not let Zhuowen leave. Master Yuan Hui rolled up his right sleeve. The surface of his right hand was engraved with red runes. Then, Master Yuan Hui's right hand formed a palm and slammed it on the ground. In an instant, the red runes emitted a dazzling red light. Then, the entire chessboard surged like a tsunami. The surface of the chessboard was undulating. Then, numerous chess pieces flew out and shot toward Zhuowen. When Zhuowen saw the densely packed chess pieces, his expression immediately changed. Every chess piece on the chessboard was extremely powerful. At most, Zhuowen could only deal with a dozen chess pieces at the same time. However, there were hundreds and thousands of chess pieces this time. There were too many of them. Zhuowen knew that he would not be able to deal with them all. Zhuowen sighed. He still had the powerful trump card of Hou Yi's godly arrow. He knew that as long as he shot out Hou Yi's godly arrow, he would be able to severely injure Master Yuan Hui or even kill Master Yuan Hui. However, he knew that Hou Yi's godly arrow was a single target attack. Moreover, it took too long to charge up. If he did not lock on a Master Yuan Hui immediately, he would be in a passive position. He might even be killed by Master Yuan Hui's sneak attack. Zhuowen using Hou Yi's god arrow to block such a large-scale attack would be an idiotic move. Moreover, Zhuowen did not have any powerful defensive means. He could not block the attacks of so many chess pieces. At the critical moment, Zhuowen took out the escape talisman that he had plundered from Huang Zhe's small world. Huang Zhe was the heir of Huang Ji family. The escape talisman on him was extremely high level. Zhuowen did not understand it. He only knew that the escape talisman was very powerful. Now that he was in such a life-and-death situation, he did not hesitate to use one of the escape talismans. Bang! Zhuowen disappeared on the spot and appeared at the edge of the chessboard. However, he was blocked by the energy barrier at the edge and was sent back into the chessboard. Zhuowen's expression turned ugly. He knew that Master Yuan Hui still had a backup plan. The chessboard was a huge barrier. It was not as simple as it looked. Escape talisman? It seems like you can really kill Crown Prince Huang Zhe. This escape talisman belongs to Crown Prince Huang Zhe. Master Yuan Hui looked at Zhuowen, who was sent back by the chessboard barrier. He also saw the talisman that had turned to ashes in Zhuowen's hand and sneered. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Another batch of hundreds and thousands of chess pieces tore through the air and surrounded Zhuowen from all directions. They crushed towards Zhuowen again. Zhuowen felt helpless. He could only use the escape talisman again. He had obtained a total of 12 escape talismans from Huang Zhe. Now that he had used 2 of them, it made his heart ache. Next, Zhuowen could only use the escape talisman again and again. Master Yuan Hui's chessboard barrier was too confining. With Zhuowen's strength, he could not break it. Master Yuan Hui also saw that Zhuowen had the ability to break the barrier. Therefore, after Zhuowen used the escape talisman, he immediately attacked to prevent Zhuowen from using the profound primordial infinity. Zhuowen was pressured by Master Yuan Hui's continuous attacks. He did not even have the time to use the profound primordial infinity. He could only crush the escape talisman in a hurry. Seeing that the escape talismans in his hand were getting fewer and fewer, Zhuowen's heart sank. When Zhuowen crushed the last escape talisman, he let out a soft sigh. He could only watch helplessly as countless chess pieces surrounded him from all directions. He decided to give it a try. He wanted to use the ultimate profound Panga's shadow. This ultimate profound was the most powerful profound of the Panga banner. It was said that at least the 7-star Panga sacred body was required to use it. Otherwise, the body might not be able to withstand it and directly collapse. Boom! Chapter 2691. Big Wurjuan was startled and could not help but look behind him. Only then did he realize that a man surrounded by flames had landed on the edge of the chessboard like a god descending to the mortal world. It was this man who had shattered the chessboard's barrier with a single punch, indirectly saving Zhuowen's life. At the same time, Zhuowen also noticed the space-time roulette behind the man. Mu Qinxue, Fire Plume, and the others were on it. When they saw that Zhuowen was unscathed, they all heaved a sigh of relief. Master Yuan Hui frowned slightly and could not help but look at the man surrounded by flames. He felt a sense of danger from this man and could not help muttering to himself, "Eternal Overlord." Eternal Overlord was the third stage of the second step of Dao validation. Theoretically, it was on the same level as Master Yuan Hui. After all, Master Yuan Hui was an eternal level array Dao master. However, in terms of combat strength, Master Yuan Hui was not as good as a real Eternal Overlord. After all, Eternal Overlords were cultivated and specialized in combat. They were extremely powerful. On the other hand, Eternal Level Array Dao Master mainly refine arrays, not for combat. In a one-on-one fight, Eternal Level Array Dao Master would be at a disadvantage. Therefore, Master Yuan Hui was extremely wary when he learned that the man who had suddenly appeared was an Eternal Overlord. "Your Excellency, who are you?" "I am Yuan Hui of the Huangji family. Why are you interfering in my private affairs?" Master Yuan Hui said coldly. The flaming man who had suddenly appeared was none other than the Phoenix people's powerhouse, Kong Shi. Because the Phoenix people looked almost exactly the same as the human race. The only difference was the Phoenix bloodline in their bodies. Therefore, it was impossible to tell the difference between the Phoenix people and the human race. Because Master Yuan Hui had sealed the passage to the primitive heavenly realm, he subconsciously thought that the powerhouses of the primitive heavenly realm could not enter, so he did not think that Kong Shi was from the primitive heavenly realm. Kong Shi didn't even look at Master Yuan Hui. Instead, his attention fell on Zhuowen. He said coldly, "You're Zhuowen?" Zhuowen frowned slightly. He realized that the moment Kong Shi looked at him, he felt that this person's gaze was somewhat unfriendly. Although Zhuowen felt uncomfortable with this person's gaze, this person had saved his life after all, so he still cupped his fists and thanked him politely. Kong Shi sneered and ignored Zhuowen. Instead, he shifted his gaze to Master Yuan Hui. Zhuowen was baffled. He felt that this man who had suddenly appeared seemed to have a bad impression of him. Especially after this sneer, Zhuowen was somewhat speechless. He didn't seem to have done anything to make this man unhappy. Moreover, he had never seen this person before. Zhuowen stepped onto the space-time roulette. Fire Plume and Steel Plume looked at Zhuowen strangely. They never thought that Zhuowen would be able to tangle with Master Yuan Hui for so long. This was too abnormal. Zhuowen looked at Mu Qinxue and asked, "Qinxue, who is this person?" Mu Qinxue told him everything that had happened, not hiding anything. "Then this person is a powerhouse of the Phoenix people?" Zhuowen asked in surprise. Mu Qinxue nodded. Fire Plume quickly added, "The Phoenix people are one of the 4 Shenzhen of the Great Desolate Heavenly Realm. They are one of the top 10 races in the Great Desolate Heavenly Realm and are extremely powerful." Hearing this, Zhuowen fell silent. Then he looked at Mu Qinxue and said, "Qinxue, are you planning on going to the Phoenix people with this person?" Mu Qinxue revealed a faint smile and said, "Husband, you should be able to tell. I am too weak. Whether it is the Xianmi Heavenly Realm or the Great Desolate Heavenly Realm, I am at the lowest level of cultivation. If I don't think of ways to become stronger, I won't be able to protect the people I want to protect. I don't like this kind of powerlessness." Zhuowen gave a sigh in his heart. Actually, when he heard Mu Qinxue talk about the Phoenix people, he had already guessed that Mu Qinxue would want to go with them. This was because he could feel Mu Qinxue's desire to become stronger. It was just like Zhuowen himself. In this world where the strong preyed on the weak, he did not want to be at the bottom and did not want to be a burden to others. "Husband, although my decision is a bit unfair to you." Mu Qinxue could see that Zhuowen was a bit disappointed. She wanted to explain, but she was cut off by Zhuowen. Zhuowen said with a gentle smile, "Qinxue, as long as it's your decision, I will not go against it. Actually, your decision is correct. The Phoenix bloodline in your body is too strong. If you don't go back to the Phoenix people and don't seek the protection of the Phoenix people, your bloodline will be coveted by many people. Mu Chinchua looked at Zhuowen, and her eyes misted over. She emotionally said, "Husband, thank you." Zhuowen nodded. Then he looked at the master Yuan Hui and Kongsher not far away. Zhuowen's eyes revealed killing intent as he said, "Chun Shui, this master Yuan Hui must be killed, otherwise he will become a disaster." Mu Chinchua nodded. Even without Zhuowen saying this, she did not plan on letting this master Yuan Hui go. This master Yuan Hui was a member of the Huangji family, and he knew that Zhuowen was a murderer. If this master Yuan Hui was allowed to go back, the Huangji family would quickly find out that this matter was done by Zhuowen. With the Huangji family's influence and Zhuowen's shallow foundation, it was impossible for him to fight against a giant like the Huangji family. Thinking of this, Mu Chinchua sent a voice transmission to Kongsher, asking him to kill this master Yuan Hui. Kongsher secretly glanced at Mu Chinchua behind him. At the same time, he coldly glanced at Zhuowen beside her. He knew that Mu Chinchua's request was most likely this despicable youth's suggestion. Thinking of this, Kongsher's impression of this youth became even worse. At the same time, Kongsher felt a headache coming on. Although he was an eternal overlord, he had just advanced not long ago. He was weaker than the average eternal overlord. Although Master Yuan Hui was not as strong as an eternal overlord, Kongsher was only slightly stronger than this Master Yuan Hui. It would be very difficult for him to kill this Master Yuan Hui. Zhuowen also saw the difficulty in Kongsher's eyes. He also sent a voice transmission. "Brother Kong, you just need to delay this Master Yuan Hui. Leave the killing of this Master Yuan Hui to me." Kongsher almost laughed his teeth out. Was there something wrong with this youth's head? He had just escaped danger because of him, but now he was saying that he could kill this Master Yuan Hui? Was this a joke? I say, there should be a limit to your jokes, right? Do you think I'll believe you if you say you can kill this person? Kongsher couldn't help but mock. Zhuowen's face darkened. Kongsher had actually directly stated his goal. Even the distant Master Yuan Hui had heard it. Fortunately, Master Yuan Hui didn't take Zhuowen's words seriously. He was mainly focused on Kongsher. Zhuowen sighed softly. Fortunately, he hadn't exposed his Ho-E-God arrows. If Master Yuan Hui knew he still had them, he would probably run away immediately. There was no way he would still be in a deadlock with Kongsher. Yes, you just need to delay this Master Yuan Hui. Leave the killing of this Master Yuan Hui to me. Whether you believe it or not, your mission is to delay Master Yuan Hui. You don't need to ask about anything else, Zhuowen said calmly. Kongsher's pupils shrank. He was extremely unhappy with Zhuowen's attitude. However, when he saw Mu Chinchua's signal, he could only snort coldly and reluctantly take action. Chapter 2692. Intent to retreat. Bang. 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 Kongsher took a step forward. Flames surged like a huge wave, and he became the master of the center of this huge wave of flames. He quickly rushed in front of Master Yuan Hui and rapidly threw out several punches. Each punch carried an extremely terrifying temperature, causing the starry sky to distort and collapse. Master Yuan Hui revealed a solemn expression. He pointed with both hands, and array flags flew out like stars, circling around Master Yuan Hui. Invisible ripples of energy undulated, resisting Kongsher's violent attacks. The two of them fought, shaking the heavens and earth. Their auras were like dragons, and everywhere they passed, everything turned into ruins. Even the surrounding starry sky laws seemed to have been shattered by the terrifying aftershocks of their battle. Zhuowen protected Mu Chinchua, Fire Plume, and the others. He controlled the space-time roulette to retreat to a safe distance before stopping. Let's escape quickly. Master Yuan Hui isn't an ordinary eternal-level divine array master, Fire Plume hurriedly said. As for Zhuowen's bold declaration of wanting to kill Grandmaster Yuan Hui, who had long since tossed it to the back of her mind. In her opinion, Zhuowen was just boasting. Zhuowen shook his head and said, Later, Master Yuan Hui will be a disaster if we let him go. We must kill him here. Fire Plume and Steel Plume were shocked. They had always thought that Zhuan was just joking. They didn't expect that this guy really intended to kill Master Yuan Hui. However, although they thought that Zhuan's strength was extraordinary, the gap between him and an eternal overlord was too great. They didn't think that Zhuan had the strength to kill an eternal overlord. One must know that even the terrifyingly powerful Kong Shi was only barely able to suppress Grandmaster Yuan Hui. It was simply wishful thinking for him to kill Grandmaster Yuan Hui. Brother Zhua, it's not that I don't believe you, but Master Yuan Hui is an eternal-level God formation master after all. He's not an ordinary cat or dog. You, Steel Plume frowned. Zhuan smiled and did not answer Steel Plume. Instead, he took out Ho Yi's divine arrow. Everyone looked at the Ho Yi divine arrow Zhuan had taken out in puzzlement. The Ho Yi divine arrow was an ordinary horn of some strange beast. The only thing that surprised them was that the bloodstains on the surface of the horn seemed to be unusual. Could it be that Zhuan was planning to use this ordinary horn to kill Master Yuan Hui? Thinking of this, Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and the others shook their heads secretly. They felt that Zhuan was a little too confident in the horn. Not far away, Kong Shi and Master Yuan Hui, who were originally fighting, naturally noticed Zhuan's actions. When they realized that Zhuan had only taken out a very ordinary horn, Master Yuan Hui sneered disdainfully. Kong Shi's eyes were filled with killing intent. In his opinion, Zhuan was simply toying with him. This kid definitely can't kill Grandmaster Yuan Hui. Once this battle is over, I'll use this as an excuse to teach this kid who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth a good lesson. Kong Shi thought coldly in his heart. But soon, the expressions of Kong Shi and Master Yuan Hui, who were originally looking down on Lin Fan, changed. This was because they felt a terrifying killing intent that they had never felt before. This killing intent was simply too terrifying. Even at their current cultivation level, they still felt their hearts tremble. They could not help but tremble in fear. What a terrifying killing intent. This killing intent is coming from Zhuo Wen's side. Kong Shi's pupils shrank to the size of needles. After he focused his attention on Zhuo behind him again, his attention was immediately attracted by the ordinary horn in Zhuo's hand. This was because he realized that the originally ordinary horn was actually releasing a terrifying killing intent that made him tremble in fear. If the horn was just an ordinary horn before, then this horn was now a peerless monster with a terrifying power that was gradually awakening. Master Yuan Hui was also shocked. He looked at the blood-stained horn in Zhuo's hand in disbelief, and his heart sank. Just the killing intent alone was enough to make him feel like he was facing the threat of death. Moreover, the killing intent was still increasing in strength. Clearly, if the killing intent reached its peak and shot out, it was very difficult for him to imagine whether he would be able to dodge it. Let's go. After feeling such a terrifying killing intent, Grandmaster Yuan Hui no longer intended to continue entangling with Kong Shi. He knew that if this continued, then he might really be left behind here for good. Kong Shi, keep Master Yuan Hui busy. At this moment, Zhuo mobilized the energy within him. At the same time, he used the Devourer King's devouring ability to devour the energy of the special grade origin crystals in the miniature world and feed it back to Ho Yi's arrow. Zhuo smiled bitterly to himself as he watched the energy in the vein of special grade heavenly Tao origin crystals dwindle. Ho Yi's god arrow was truly a glutton. Just a single arrow could consume such a terrifying amount of energy. At the same time, Zhuo sensed that Master Yuan Hui was about to flee, so he hurriedly warned Kong Shi. Ho Yi's arrow had just been released, and it was still a little far from Master Yuan Hui. It would probably take some time for the killing intent to completely lock on a Master Yuan Hui. As long as the terrifying killing intent of Ho Yi's arrow locked on a Master Yuan Hui, Master Yuan Hui wouldn't be able to escape from Ho Yi's arrow no matter where he went. Kong Shi gave Zhuo a deep look. He was also shocked in his heart. This kid actually had such a terrifying killing weapon. Now that he received Zhuowen's warning, he knew that this was a rare opportunity. Flames erupted from his body, and a huge phoenix phantom formed behind him. Kong Shi's strength increased by a lot. Master Yuan, who he couldn't help but curse when he saw Kong Shi erupt with all his strength to keep him busy. His fighting strength was originally slightly weaker than ordinary Eternal Lords. Now that Kong Shi had unleashed the power of his bloodline, the situation was extremely bad for Master Yuan Hui. I have to run. Master Yuan Hui had a premonition that if he waited for Zhuowen to release his Ho E Divine Arrow, it would be impossible for him to escape even if he wanted to. Therefore, now is the best time to escape. At the thought of this, Master Yuan Hui no longer held back. He took out the chessboard again and bit the tip of his tongue, spitting a mouthful of blood essence onto the chessboard. In an instant, the transparent chessboard was covered in blood. Countless lines shot out from the chessboard, and they were all dyed blood red. Whoosh, whoosh, lines shot out and surrounded Master Yuan Hui, forming a powerful blood-red barrier around him. After the blood-colored boundary was formed, blood-colored chess pieces flew out from the chessboard. The blood-colored chess pieces were like ferocious beasts. They flew out one after another and surged toward Kong Shi. Chapter 2693. Killing Yuan Hui. Bang, bang, bang. Kong Shi's fists were like a storm. His body was surrounded by an incomparably large phantom of a phoenix. However, the more Kong Shi attacked, the more shocked he became. The blood-red barrier formed by Master Yuan Hui was too powerful. Moreover, there seemed to be no end to the blood-red chess pieces that flew out from it. They flew towards Kong Shi in an unending stream and bombarded him. Even though Kong Shi had unleashed all of his bloodline power, he still ended up running for his life under the endless attacks of the blood-red chess pieces. Explode. Master Yuan Hui's eyes shone with cold light and killing intent. Immediately, he formed a seal with both hands and spat out another mouthful of blood essence, sprinkling it on the barrier. Instantly, the blood-red barrier seemed to have been touched by some kind of taboo. It actually began to surge violently. Then, it began to compress continuously. As it continued to compress, the pressure within the barrier increased by hundreds and thousands. Kong Shi, who was within the barrier, was affected by the pressure and his movements became sluggish. He was deeply affected. This guy, Kong Shi's heart sank. He finally felt the terror of the barrier. He regretted not dodging when Master Yuan Hui used the barrier. If he had dodged, the barrier would be nothing to him. Boom, boom, boom. When the blood-red barrier was compressed to the extreme, it suddenly exploded. The terrifying, explosive energy surged out and spread in all directions like rolling waves. Kong Shi, who was at the center of the explosion, was drowned by the explosion. At the moment when the blood-red barrier exploded, Master Yuan Hui looked at Zhuowen, who was still accumulating power not far away. His eyes flashed, and his killing intent exploded. He was weighing the pros and cons. Now that Kong Shi was restrained by his barrier, should he escape or should he completely kill Zhuowen? Thinking of the terror of the blood-stained horn in Zhuowen's hand, Master Yuan Hui felt a surge of greed in his heart. Even he was tempted by such a powerful weapon. A ferocious creature like this will definitely need to accumulate power for a long time. This child is still accumulating power. As long as I kill him while he is accumulating power, all of his secrets will be mine. At that time, this ferocious creature will also become mine. In the end, Master Yuan Hui's greed overcame his rationality. He didn't understand how terrifying Ho Yi's divine arrow was, so he was hoping for a fluke. Whoosh! Master Yuan Hui made up his mind and immediately put it into action. He turned into a shadow and shot out, heading straight for Zhuowen. Brother Zhuo, be careful. Seeing Master Yuan Hui rush over, Fire Plume, Mu Qinxue, and the others all looked worried. Fire Plume even warned them. It's fine, Zhuowen said. His eyes shone brightly as he watched Master Yuan Hui get closer and closer. After Master Yuan Hui detonated the barrier and restrained Kong Shi, Zhuan was somewhat worried that Master Yuan Hui would leave. After all, he hadn't finished accumulating power, but he was actually very close. If Master Yuan Hui had decisively left, Zhuan knew that his accumulation of power this time would have been in vain, because the killing intent of the Hou Yi's divine arrow hadn't completely locked onto Master Yuan Hui. But now, Master Yuan Hui was actually planning to kill him. This was for the best. At least Zhuan still had time to shoot the Hou Yi's divine arrow. Once it was shot, Master Yuan Hui would at least be seriously injured. When Master Yuan Hui was only a few feet away from Zhuan, the killing intent of the Hou Yi's divine arrow rose to another level. Then, it surged out like a tidal wave and suddenly locked onto Master Yuan Hui. Master Yuan Hui's heart trembled. He could feel the terrifying killing intent pouring down on him, causing him to involuntarily feel fear. Although he didn't know what was going on, he could guess that it definitely wasn't anything good. However, he was too close to Zhuan right now, so he simply ignored the terrifying feeling. Instead, he sent out several formation flags into his right hand and viciously smashed them onto Zhuan's head. He wanted to kill this kid with a single strike. Master Yuan Hui sneered as he looked at Zhuan. He wanted to see the despair on Zhuan's face. But very soon, Master Yuan Hui felt that something was wrong. This was because he didn't see any fear or despair on Zhuan's face. Zhuan seemed very calm. There was actually a trace of mockery in his eyes that should have been filled with despair. This trace of mockery was like a nail that was hammered into Master Yuan Hui's heart, causing Master Yuan Hui to feel extremely displeased. You're about to die, yet you're still pretending to be calm. Master Yuan Hui mocked. Zhuan smiled and didn't move. However, the mockery in his eyes became even stronger. Pucci. The instant Master Yuan Hui's attack was about to land on Zhuan, Master Yuan Hui heard the sound of an arrow leaving the bowstring. Then, he felt a heart-wrenching pain from his chest. Then, Master Yuan Hui felt his body become light as a feather. Zhuan, who was originally very close to him, was actually moving away from him. But very soon, he discovered that Zhuan wasn't moving at all. Instead, he was retreating at a rapid pace. He lowered his head and looked at his chest. To his shock, he discovered that there was a huge wound on his chest. In this wound, a blood-stained horn had almost completely sunk into his chest. How is this possible? Just a little bit more, and I would have been able to kill this bastard. Master Yuan Hui only managed to utter these words before the terrifying power of Hou Yi's arrow tore his entire body apart. Zhuan stood where he was, his face slightly pale. Looking at the torn Master Yuan Hui, he let out a soft sigh of relief. Thinking back to the sorry state he was in when he first fired Hou Yi's arrow, Zhuan could be said to have improved tremendously. At the very least, he was able to stand firmly on the spot and not be sent flying by the terrifying recoil of Hou Yi's arrow. But even so, Zhuan still felt weak, as if his body had been emptied. After taking out dozens of special-grade Heavenly Tao origin crystals and absorbing them all, Zhuan finally felt the weakness in his body lessen significantly. Only then did he slowly walk over to where Master Yuan Hui had been torn apart. Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and even Mu Qinxue and the others all looked at this scene in shock. Mu Qinxue was pleasantly surprised, while Fire Plume and Steel Plume were horrified. Brother Zhua is too terrifying. If he enters the Xianmi heavenly domain, it won't be difficult for him to become an overlord. Fire Plume came back to her senses and bitterly muttered to herself. Although she and Steel Plume had overestimated Zhuan as much as possible, after this battle, she discovered that they had greatly underestimated Zhuan. This kid had even killed an eternal-grade divine array master. In the Xianmi heavenly domain, this kind of strength was enough to do whatever he wanted. At the same time, the two also thought of Huang Zhe's destined master bodyguard, Zoda. Chapter 2694. Kongsher was horrified. After putting away the Ho-E divine arrow, Zhuowen searched for the scene where Master Yuan Hui was torn apart. Although he knew that with the power of the Ho-E divine arrow, Master Yuan Hui's spirit ring would definitely be shattered, he still felt lucky. After all, Master Yuan Hui was not an ordinary person. What's this? Soon, Zhuowen found a piece of golden platinum paper as thin as a cicada's wing. He knew that this golden platinum paper should belong to Master Yuan Hui. Since it was not destroyed by the terrifying power of the Ho-E divine arrow, it could be seen that this golden platinum paper was not an ordinary thing. Zhuowen probed it with his spiritual sense and found that there was something recorded on this golden platinum paper. After casually browsing through it, he showed a look of surprise. This was because the golden platinum paper recorded a kind of array Dao inheritance. It was said that this array Dao inheritance could help a divine array master cultivate to the third step of Dao confirmation. Grandmaster Yuan Hui obtained this golden platinum paper, which was why his attainments in the Dao of arrays improved so quickly. In less than 1,000 years, he became an eternal level array Dao master and was hired by the Huangji family as a royal array Dao master. Zhuowen had just become a heavenly Dao divine array master, so the inheritance in this golden platinum paper was very important to him. Where's Master Yuan Hui? Did he escape? After putting away the golden platinum paper, Kongsher walked out of the exploded boundary in a sorry state. The self-destruction of Grandmaster Yuan Hui's blood color barrier was simply too powerful. Even though Kongsher had unleashed all of his bloodline power, he had still sustained extremely serious injuries. Now, for that Kongsher barely survived the explosion and did not see Master Yuan Hui. He could not help but ask curiously. Although Kongsher asked this question, his tone was extremely tough. Obviously, he thought that Master Yuan Hui must have escaped. Master Yuan Hui was shot to death by me, Zhuowen said coldly. Kongsher's pupil shrank, but he fell into a rare silence. Although he didn't believe Zhuowen's words, he calmed down and sensed for a moment. He really did feel that Master Yuan Hui's aura had completely disappeared and was replaced by a terrifying killing aura. Kongxi was no stranger to this murderous aura. It was the aura of the blood-stained horn that Zhuowen had taken out earlier. He knew that Master Yuan Hui must have been killed by the blood-stained horn. Kongsher felt shocked. He couldn't imagine what the blood-stained horn was, and how it could kill an eternal-level array formation master like Master Yuan Hui with a single arrow. If Zhuowen shot the same arrow at him, would he be able to block it? Zhuowen ignored the absent-minded Kongsher and landed on the space-time roulette. He looked at Kongsher and said, "Since you are from the Phoenix people, you should be from the primitive heavenly realm, right? How did you enter the 8 heavens?" Kongsher came back to his senses, looked at Zhuowen, and said strangely, "Don't you know that the passage between the primitive heavenly realm and the 8 heavens has been opened?" Zhuowen's pupils shrank, and he said, "Who broke it? Was it an almighty of the primitive heavenly realm?" Zhuowen's heart sank. He didn't expect the seal of the primitive heavenly realm to be broken so quickly. The 8 heavens would no longer have peace. In addition, Dong Wangtai was eyeing the 8 heavens covetously. The 8 heavens would soon face an unprecedented disaster. Although Zhuowen wanted to help the 8 heavens, he also knew that his strength was limited. If he went to the 8 heavens now, he would be courting death. All he could do now was to protect his family, friends, and lovers. Kongsher shook his head. "The seal of your 8 great heavens is extremely powerful. It is basically impossible to break it from the other side of the great desolate heaven realm. It was an existence from your 8 great heavens that opened the seal. As for who it was, I'm not sure." Zhuowen gnashed his teeth in anger. He had already guessed who it was. It must be that green-haired mummy. After tricking him in the land of origin, it was impossible for this mummy to go to the Xianmi heavenly realm. After all, the Xianmi heavenly realm was the world of the human race. That green-haired mummy was obviously not a human. Going to the Xianmi heavenly realm was just courting death. Therefore, if the green-haired mummy wanted to leave the eight heavens, it would definitely go to the primitive heavenly realm, which accommodated all races. However, what Zhuowen didn't expect was that the green-haired mummy was so ruthless. Not only did it release the almighty of the demon race, Dong Wang Tai, but it also broke the seal of the primitive heavenly realm. It was a complete mess. However, Zhuowen also felt a little helpless. The green-haired mummy's body was extremely powerful. Even if Zhuowen had the 3-star Panga sacred body, he didn't have the confidence to fight it head-on. Moreover, the green-haired mummy was able to break the seal of the primitive heavenly realm. It could be seen that this fellow relied on the energy of the demon pearl to recover a lot of its strength. Taking a step back, the green-haired mummy had already gone to the primitive heavenly realm. Although Zhuowen didn't like the green-haired mummy, he knew that he couldn't find this fellow to take revenge on. If Chen Shui goes to the Phoenix people with you, how will the Phoenix people treat Chen Shui? Zhuowen asked coldly. Kong Shi coldly snorted and said, Lady Chen Shui's bloodline is extremely powerful. It even resonated with the Phoenix people's ancestral land. You have to know that those who can resonate with the ancestral land are all earth-shattering super powerhouses in the history of the Phoenix people. Lady Chen Shui's future is limitless. If she goes to the Phoenix people, she will have the chance to become our clan's saintess. Hearing this, Zhuowen nodded. He could see that Kong Shi was indeed very respectful and submissive to Mu Qinshui. It seemed that the Phoenix bloodline in Mu Qinshui's body was indeed not ordinary. After Kong Shi finished speaking, he ignored Zhuowen and knelt on one knee in front of Mu Qinshui. He said, Lady Qinshui, Kong Shi is here to bring you back. You also know that with your powerful bloodline, it's too dangerous outside. Under the premise that you're not strong enough, it's best for you to come back with me. Mu Qinshui originally wanted to go to the Phoenix people with Kong Shi. She also felt that her strength was indeed a little weak, especially after seeing Zhuowen's powerful battle strength. Mu Qinshui was even more determined to become stronger. She did not want to be a burden to Zhuowen in the future. She wanted to help Zhuowen and walk side by side with him. Mu Qinshui nodded in agreement. Kong Shi's heart was filled with joy. Husband, you've offended the Huangji family and Impermanence Palace. Do you want to go to the Great Desolate Realm with me? Since the Phoenix people are a large clan in the Great Desolate Realm, they will definitely protect you. Mu Qinshui looked at Zhuowen with a worried gaze as she spoke. Zhuowen shook his head and said, Chen Shui, you should understand my personality. I'm not the kind of person who likes to rely on others. Even if it's my own woman, I won't allow it. Mu Qinshui revealed a faint smile as she carefully looked at Zhuowen. She understood Zhuowen better than anyone else. The reason why she said this was for Kong Shi to hear. She wanted Kong Shi to know that this youth in front of him had a very high position in Mu Qinshui's heart. As expected, Kong Shi's expression was not good, and he was also feeling a little distressed. If those old fellows in the clan knew that the Phoenix people's saintess already had a Dao companion, wouldn't they go crazy from anger? Chapter 2695. 3 clan elders. Mu Qinshui chatted with Zhuowen for a while, but her beautiful eyes were filled with reluctance. Zhuowen was the same, but he always respected his wife's decision and would not make a decision for Chen Shui. Sir Chen Shui, you should go. The passage to the Great Desolate Realm has already been opened, and there are more and more life forms from the Great Desolate Realm entering the 8 heavens. I'm afraid we'll meet experts from other clans. Kong Shi said. At the same time, his communication jade talisman lit up with a dazzling light. Kong Shi looked it over and revealed a look of pleasant surprise. Kong Shi, what is it? Mu Qinshui saw Kong Shi reveal a look of pleasant surprise, so she couldn't help asking this. Kong Shi said in a pleasantly surprised voice, Sir Chen Shui, the Phoenix people's 3rd clan elder has personally brought elites to welcome you. He knows that you're returning to the Phoenix people and is very excited, so he's urging me to bring you over. Although Mu Qinshui did not know who the 3rd clan elder was, Seeing Kongsha reveal a look of awe when he mentioned the third clan elder, she knew that the third clan elder was an important person of the Phoenix people. Husband, I should go. Mu Chinchue held Zhuowen's hand and said with a sigh. Zhuowen gave a sigh in his heart. He let go of Mu Chinchue's jade-like hand and said with a smile, Chinchue, go. Remember to take care of yourself when you go there. Also, if anyone bullies you and I find out, I will beat them up until their parents can't recognize them. Mu Chinchue gave a laugh, but her beautiful eyes were filled with emotions. She gently hugged Zhuowen and kissed Zhuowen's forehead before leaving like a butterfly. Zhuowen looked at the beautiful figure that was taken away by Kongsha and felt a sense of loss in his heart. However, he quickly calmed down. I'll send you to Heavenly Moat. We'll part ways there. Zhuowen turned to look at Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and Tong Chime as he spoke with a smile. The three of them naturally did not have any objections and did not ask why Zhuowen was staying. In the cold and dark space, a terrifying stream of fire shot out. Everywhere it passed, everything was incinerated into nothingness. Upon closer inspection, one would discover that there were actually more than 10 figures floating within the flaming light. The auras of these dozen figures were extremely vast and terrifying. At this moment, there were already quite a number of living beings from the desolation heaven within the 8 heavens. These creatures of the great desolate heaven realm were like evil spirits. Wherever they passed, they would cause inhumane slaughter and destruction. When the flaming light swept past, the creatures of the prehistoric heavenly realm all trembled and subconsciously dodged the flaming light that cut through the starry sky. This aura could be a powerhouse from the Phoenix people. The aura standing at the front is so strong. I think I've seen him somewhere before. All right, that's the third elder of the Phoenix people. He has a high position and authority. Why did he come to the 8 heavens? Even the 3 elders have been mobilized. Could it be that something major has happened in the 8 heavens? Some of the creatures of the great desolate heaven realm recognized the flaming light, and their eyes revealed looks of fear and reverence. The Phoenix people were deeply rooted in the great desolate heaven realm. They were one of the top 10 races and were extremely powerful. The 3 clan elders were even more so the powerful experts of the older generation of the Phoenix people. They would not easily come out, but now that they had come to the 8 heavens, many of the creatures of the great desolate heaven realm were puzzled. At the front of the flaming light was an old man wearing a fiery red robe. His eyes were like fire, and he held a flaming scepter in his hand. His body unconsciously exuded a powerful and dignified aura. This was the third elder of the Phoenix people. He was a true existence at the level of an old monster. The 3 clan elders' eyes narrowed as they revealed a look of pleasant surprise. He looked to the front, where a streak of fiery light was quickly flying over and finally stopping in front of the 3 clan elders. Kongsha greets the 3 clan elders. Kongsha, who was wearing a flaming armor, knelt on one knee on the ground and bowed respectfully to the 3 clan elders. The 3 clan elders nodded slightly, but their eyes fell on the slim and graceful woman behind Kongsha. He could clearly feel that the woman's bloodline was extremely powerful. It was far more powerful than all the juniors of the Phoenix people he had seen before. He knew that the one who had resonated with the ancestral land of the Phoenix people should be this beautiful woman in front of him. Little girl, what's your name? The 3 clan elders' stern eyes gradually softened as he looked at the woman behind Kongsha and asked gently. Kongsha heard the 3 clan elders' voice become so gentle. He knew that the 3 clan elders were very satisfied with Mu Chinchue, who he had brought with him. One had to know that the 3 clan elders did not smile easily. However, they showed such a gentle smile to Mu Chinchue, who they had just met for the first time. It was obvious that the 3 clan elders valued Mu Chinchue greatly. At the same time, Kongsha was also very happy. He knew that he had done a great service to the Phoenix people by finding Mu Chinchue. When he returned to the Phoenix people, he would definitely be rewarded generously. Mu Chinchue cupped her fists and said in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing, Senior, My name is Mu Chinshua. The three clan elders nodded and said indifferently, You have a powerful phoenix bloodline, which should be related to fire. However, your name has the word snow in it. This name is not good. From now on, you will be called Mu Chinyen. Mu Chinshue frowned slightly and said calmly, This name was given to me by my mother. I will not change my name easily. If Senior thinks that my name is not good, you can refuse to let me join the Phoenix people. Kong Shi's heart trembled when he heard this. Previously, he had repeatedly instructed that he was meeting the three clan elders. Among the Phoenix people, they were one of the three most powerful existences. He could not be careless. Now, Mu Chinshue actually contradicted the three clan elders in front of them for the sake of a name. Was she courting death? Even the dozen or so Phoenix tribe powerhouses behind the three clan elders began to discuss among themselves. They felt that this woman did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. The three clan elders narrowed their eyes and looked deeply at Mu Chinshue. In the end, they nodded and said, All right, since this is your decision, then you don't have to change your name. Kong Shi looked at the three clan elders in surprise. He did not expect the three clan elders to be so good-tempered now. They actually agreed to Mu Chinshue's request so easily. However, he also knew that this did not mean that the three clan elders' temper had improved. This was entirely because the Phoenix bloodline in Mu Chinshue's body was too powerful. The three clan elders had no choice but to treat her seriously. Child, come here for a moment. Let me test your bloodline. The three clan elders waved their hands. Mu Chinshue hesitated for a moment, but still came to the three clan elders' side. The three clan elders stretched out their withered palms, then formed sword fingers and gently tapped the space between Mu Chinshue's eyebrows. Instantly, a phoenix symbol appeared between Mu Chinshue's eyebrows. Moreover, this phoenix symbol even let out a clear phoenix cry that pierced through gold and cracked stone, reaching the nine heavens. Chapter 2696. 99 Phoenix Body. The blazing temperature actually dispersed the flaming light around the three clan elders and the others. Other than the three clan elders, the dozen or so people behind them all involuntarily retreated as they looked at the beautiful woman in front of the three clan elders in shock. At this moment, Mu Chinshue was surrounded by countless flames and magma. The terrifying magma actually formed Phoenix Phantoms one after another, and a total of 99 Phoenix Phantoms appeared above Mu Chinshue's head. The 99 Phoenix Phantoms let out overlapping Phoenix cries. That sound actually resounded through the entire 8 heavenly realms, attracting the attention of countless living beings. It's actually the 99 Phoenix Body. It seems like the heavens are blessing us Phoenix people. After countless years, a second person with a 99 Phoenix Body has actually appeared. The three clan elders laughed loudly, their voices filled with excitement. The dozen or so experts brought by the three clan elders all bowed and kowtowed as they looked at the 99 Phoenix Phantoms that had appeared behind Mu Chinshue in the starry sky, their eyes filled with reverence. The 99 Phoenix Body was a legendary physique among the Phoenix people. It was said that the ancestors of the Phoenix people possessed the 99 Phoenix Body and were invincible throughout the world. In the end, they created one of the 10 great races, the Phoenix people. Now that the 99 Phoenix Body had appeared among the Phoenix people, they knew that the Phoenix people would regain the glory of their ancestors in the future. They might even be able to compete with the witch clan that ruled the great desolate heaven realm. Right now, these Phoenix people did not look down on Mu Chinshue at all. Rather, they were filled with fanatical reverence. They were very clear that the woman in front of them was the future hope of the Phoenix people. Chinshue, from today onwards, you are the holy maiden of the Phoenix people. Your status is only below the three clan elders. Ha ha. The three clan elders laughed as they looked at Mu Chinshue in front of them with great satisfaction. The the 99 Phoenix body. The three clan elders couldn't help but be excited. As long as Mu Chinchue grew up, it would only be a matter of time before she surpassed the three clan elders of their clan. Then, it would be even easier for her to reach the third step of the Tao confirming realm. Although Mu Chinchue was puzzled, she knew that her body constitution was special and important to the Phoenix people. However, this was exactly what she wanted. She joined the Phoenix people in order to become stronger. Now that she had such a strong physique, it was naturally the best for her. Chinchue, let's go back to the Phoenix people, the three clan elders said while laughing. Mu Chinchue nodded. Then, the three elders waved their sleeves, and a stream of flame wrapped around Mu Chinchue. Then, they brought the group of people and left the place in an instant. Mu Chinchue looked at the dozen or so people in the flaming light, but she didn't see Kong Shi. She asked in surprise, "Elder, where is Kong Shi?" The three clan elders said with a smile, "Kong Shi. He came to the 8 heavens on a mission. He hasn't finished his mission yet, so he's staying in the 8 heavens for now." Mu Chinchue nodded. She didn't think too much about it, but she didn't see the sinister look in the three clan elders' eyes. Just now, after he guided the 99 Phoenix body out of Mu Chinchue's body, he discovered that Mu Chinchue was no longer a virgin. This made the three clan elders very angry. Mu Chinchue was now the Phoenix people's sacred maiden. She should have been as pure as ice, but someone had taken her virginity. The three clan elders couldn't accept this. However, the three clan elders didn't say anything to Mu Chinchue, nor did they get angry at Mu Chinchue. He knew that Mu Chinchue wasn't born in the Phoenix people. To be honest, the Phoenix people were the ones who had let Mu Chinchue down. This matter couldn't be blamed on Mu Chinchue. Therefore, he immediately transmitted his voice to Kong Shi. He wanted to ask if Kong Shi knew if Mu Chinchue had a Tao companion. If she did, the three clan elders felt that Mu Chinchue's Tao companion deserved to die. After all, Mu Chinchue was the Phoenix people's sacred maiden. If others found out that the dignified Phoenix people's sacred maiden had a Tao companion, it would be a humiliation to the Phoenix people, especially when the three clan elders heard that Mu Chinchue's Tao companion was a piece of trash in the life and death boundary. This made the three clan elders even more disinterested in Mu Chinchue's Tao companion. So, he casually ordered Kong Shi to kill Zhuowen before returning to the Phoenix people. Kong Shi watched as the flames disappeared into the distance. He licked his lips with his scarlet tongue and said with a cold laugh, "That little bastard Zhuowen, what ability did he have to dare become Lady Chun Shue's Tao companion? This kind of person should go to hell." Furthermore, the bloodstained horn on this bastard body is also an incredible treasure. If I can obtain that treasure, I'm afraid that my strength will rise to another level. My status may even be on par with the three great clan elders. Kong Shi laughed as he flew into the starry sky. In fact, even if the three clan elders hadn't noticed that Mu Chinchue wasn't a virgin, Kong Shi would have told them about Zhuowen's existence. Of course, Kong Shi did not specifically mention that Zhuowen possessed a peerless ominous object, and that Zhuowen relied on this peerless ominous object to kill an eternal rank god array master, because he had taken a fancy to that peerless monster. Once the three clan elders knew about it, Kong Shi knew that it would be impossible for him to take that treasure for himself. Of course, Kong Shi also knew how terrifying that peerless monster was. If Zhuowen had shot that arrow, he would have died without a doubt. However, in the battle with Master Yuan Hui, he had seen through the limitations of Zhuowen's use of that peerless monster, because this kid needed some time to accumulate power. Without that time, this kid wouldn't have been able to shoot that arrow. As long as he acted decisively and killed that little bastard without giving him a chance to shoot that arrow, he knew that he would definitely be able to kill that little bastard. Zhuowen stopped in front of a huge natural moat. Looking at this huge and dangerous place that was completely different from the surrounding starry sky, his heart was filled with shock. Is this the natural moat? Zhuowen looked at the natural moat in front of him in shock and couldn't help muttering to himself, "Fire Plume, Steel Plume, and Tong Chime walked down from the space-time roulette. Fire Plume said softly, "Yes, this is the natural mode. Not only is there a natural and terrifying gravity here, but there are also many terrifying strange beasts. Because these strange beasts live in the harsh environment of the natural mode, their strength is monstrous. With the help of the natural mode's terrain, they're like fish in water. For cultivators crossing the natural mode, these strange beasts are the most troublesome obstacles." Zhuo nodded. Just from the periphery of the natural mode, Zhuo could feel that this natural mode was unusual and terrifying. "Brother Zhuo, are you really not going to come with us to Xianmi Heavenly Domain now?" Fire Plume tried to persuade him. Zhuo shook his head and said, "I have made up my mind. I do have some things that I need to do, so I don't plan to go to Xianmi Heavenly Domain now. Once I'm done, I will go to Xianmi Heavenly Domain and pay a visit to Purple Red Chamber. As for Junior Sister Chime, I'll leave it to you." Fire Plume said solemnly, "Don't worry. Our Purple Red Chamber will not mistreat Junior Sister Chime. Also, this is the route map of Purple Red Chamber. If you really come to Xianmi Heavenly Domain, you can follow this route to Purple Red Chamber. We will definitely treat you well." "Thank you." Zhuo put away the route map and cupped his fists. His voice was filled with gratitude. Chapter 2697. Murderous Intent. The world in the Devourer King's body is beginning to take shape. Although it's a little far from the macro world, it still contains certain rules. "I'll move the Ryuka people into my internal world first," Zhuo muttered to himself. He then controlled the space-time roulette and moved all the Ryuka people in the various space-times into his internal world. After doing all this, Zhuo took out the 3 space-time keys. "I can't sense the location of a space-time temple in the extraterritorial starry sky. It seems that I'll have to make a trip back to the 8 heavens." Zhuo was about to combine the 3 space-time keys and teleport into the space-time temple when he realized that it didn't work in the extraterritorial starry sky. He knew that it was because he was in the extraterritorial starry sky. When Zhuo arrived at the Brahma domain in the space-time roulette and was about to take out the 3 space-time keys again, he felt a strong sense of danger. Then, Zhuo threw a punch behind him without hesitation. The power of the 3 stars Pangu sacred body poured out in torrents. Puff! Zhuo could only feel a terrifying heat radiating from his fist. Soon after, he was sent flying by the terrifying force behind him. His right hand was fractured by the terrifying force. The instant Zhuo was sent flying, Zhuo immediately sensed the power pursuing him. It caught up to him once again. Clearly, it planned to completely destroy him in one go. Zhuo's heart sank. He felt that the power was very familiar. Profound Creation Mysterious Light. Zhuo used the Profound Creation Mysterious Light without hesitation. The Profound Creation Mysterious Light was different from the Sky-Splitting Blade and the Hongmeng Wuji. It focused on defense and had a terrifying defensive power. The Creation Mysterious Light wrapped around Zhuo's body and turned into a strong defense. Then, the force arrived as expected and blasted on Zhuo's body. The terrifying force caused Zhuo to groan. Fortunately, he managed to block the second wave of attack. Zhuo reacted very quickly. After dodging the second wave of attacks, he immediately retreated like a flying shuttle, fleeing far away as he looked at the muscular man in the flame armor. Kong Shi? Zhuo's heart sank. The moment this person attacked him, he had already guessed that it was Kong Shi. He couldn't understand why Kong Shi would attack him. He could tell that Kong Shi's attack was definitely a killing move. If Zhuo had not used the mysterious light of creation in time, he would have been blasted into pieces even though his Pangu's sacred body was very strong. After all, Kong Shi was an eternal overlord. He was so strong that Zhuo was no match for him. It could be said that apart from the Ho-E divine arrow, Zhuo had nothing that could threaten an eternal overlord like Kong Shi. Kong Shi looked at Zhuo with some surprise. He didn't expect that the latter would only be injured under his sneak attack, and not die. It seemed that this person was really not simple. This made Kong Shi want to kill Zhuowen even more. Why? Zhuowen asked coldly. He didn't seem to have a life-and-death feud with Kong Shi. Kong Shi had no reason to kill him. Kong Shi grinned and said, "Because you're Lord Chun Shui's cultivation companion. The three elders have officially appointed Lord Chun Shui as the saintess of the Phoenix people. Her status is high, and the saintess is not allowed to have a cultivation companion. Therefore, you must die." You mean to say that the three elders gave the order to kill me? Zhuowen's eyes were cold. Zhuowen had never seen the three elders, but this old man actually gave the order to kill him. This made Zhuowen burn with anger. You can say that. Of course, part of it is because of me. You should hand over that bloodstained horn. As long as you are satisfied, why can't I spare your dog life? Kong Shi said arrogantly. Zhuowen sneered and said, "So that's your main reason for killing me. Looking at your expression, you didn't tell the three elders about this thing on me." Zhuowen quickly figured out the connection. It was the three elders who gave the order to kill him, but it should also be Kong Shi's instigation. Moreover, Kong Shi definitely didn't tell anyone about the Ho-E divine arrow. Otherwise, the three elders wouldn't have just sent Kong Shi to kill him. They would have come in person. After all, his cultivation wasn't high, but he could kill an eternal overlord with the Ho-E divine arrow. Anyone who wasn't a fool could see that the Ho-E divine arrow was extraordinary. Thinking of this, Zhuowen also knew that it was a wrong decision to reveal the Ho-E divine arrow in front of Kong Shi. The power of the Ho-E divine arrow was too terrifying, and his strength wasn't particularly strong. It was inevitable that Kong Shi would covet it. If he used the Ho-E divine arrow again in the future, he would have to be careful. Otherwise, if he encountered something like today, it would be really bad. Sure enough, after hearing Zhuowen's words, Kong Shi's eyes turned cold and said, "You're about to die, yet you still have the heart to ridicule me. You're simply courting death." Boom, Kong Shi said, taking a step forward and stretching out his right hand. Intense flame energy manifested into an extremely terrifying flaming palm that tore through the starry sky like an angry dragon, rushing towards Zhuowen. Kong Shi followed closely behind, his hands blazing with flames, ready to strike. Obviously, he was going all out this time, intending to kill. Zhuowen's expression changed slightly. Kong Shi's attack was too terrifying, and he knew that with his current cultivation, he couldn't take it head-on. Although he could still shoot the Ho-E divine arrow, it needed time to accumulate power. Kong Shi obviously knew the weakness of the Ho-E divine arrow, so he attacked decisively, not giving Zhuowen any time to accumulate power. Zhuowen was also very decisive. He kept retreating, and at the same time, he immediately took out 3 space-time keys and combined them without hesitation. Suddenly, the 3 space-time keys combined and emitted a strong light. It was a light that was close to space-time, and it was extremely strange. Then, a huge space-time vortex appeared around Zhuowen. Zhuowen stepped into the space-time vortex, and his figure quickly disappeared. Then, the space-time vortex quickly closed. Kong Shi, Zhuowen, will remember today's grudge. The next time I see you, I'll kill you. After the space-time vortex closed, Zhuowen's cold voice sounded, shaking heaven and earth. Kong Shi stopped and looked at the space-time vortex that had disappeared. He was so angry that his teeth itched. He didn't expect Zhuowen to have such a trump card. At the same time, Kong Shi was also a little worried. Zhuowen was very talented, and he had the terrifying Ho-E divine arrow. If they really met again, Kong Shi didn't know if he would have the strength to kill this kid. Humph, I'll wait here. Since this kid disappeared from here, maybe he'll come back here the next time he comes out. Chapter 2698. The space-time Temple Zhuowen felt the world spin as if the space-time around him was constantly twisting, causing his entire body to feel pain and tension. After he gradually adapted to the feeling of space-time flying, He immediately mobilized the space-time law he had comprehended. Only then was he barely able to resist the tearing force of space-time around him. Zhuowen looked around and discovered that the surroundings were gray and hazy. Within this gray haze, there were even thin lines of light. They were like flying space-time that rapidly streaked past Zhuowen's eyes. This is the space where the space-time temple is located. Zhuowen stopped in place and observed his surroundings. He knew that this should be the space-time temple space, but he didn't see it. Zhuowen's entire body was suffused with the space-time law. Then, he transformed into a stream of light that shot forward. At the same time, his powerful divine sense spread out and began to investigate his surroundings. It had to be said that Zhuowen's divine sense was indeed much more powerful than an ordinary cultivator's. In the space-time temple space, the space-time law was extremely vast, and the suppression on the divine sense was even more terrifying. If it was an ordinary cultivator, their divine sense would probably only be able to extend a few meters or even a few dozen meters. However, Zhuowen's divine sense could extend over 1,000 meters. With such a powerful divine sense, Zhuowen could completely avoid the dangers and traps ahead of him. Someone has trespassed into the space-time domain. Kill him. Suddenly, after flying for several hours, Zhuowen discovered a group of bee soldiers a few thousand meters ahead of him. There were about 50 of them. All of them were covered in scales and had huge hammer-like tails. The moment Zhuowen discovered this group of bee soldiers, the leader of this group of bee soldiers also discovered Zhuowen. Thus, it whistled towards Zhuowen, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws in an attempt to kill Zhuowen. Zhuowen revealed a strange expression as he gazed at this group of soldiers, because he noticed that all of them were actually experts at the extremes of life and death, and the leader of the soldiers was even a half-step Heaven Dao Lord. If such a team was placed in the 8 heavens, it would be an invincible existence. It was more than enough to attack any one of the 8 heavens. The beast soldiers were very fast, and all of them seemed to have comprehended the space-time law. In the blink of an eye, they arrived in front of Zhuowen. Despicable humans. Entering the space-time domain is simply courting death. The leader of the soldiers let out a ferocious laugh, his sharp teeth reflecting a chilling cold light. Holding the long spear in his hand, he mercilessly stabbed towards Zhuowen's vital points. Zhuowen laughed coldly in his heart. This leader was merely a quasi-Heaven Dao Lord, yet he was simply courting death by acting so arrogantly before Zhuowen. Zhuowen clenched his right fist and casually punched out, smashing the tip of the leader's long spear. The leader of the soldiers was shocked to discover that the tip of the spear had been directly smashed apart. A terrifying force spread out from the tip of the spear, and then the entire spear curled up. Poochie! The moment the fist smashed the long spear, it also landed on the bee soldier leader's chest under its horrified gaze. A terrifying force exploded. The bee soldier leader let out a blood-curdling scream as it was blown to smithereens. It couldn't be any more dead than this. Leader! Many of the soldiers were shocked when they saw their leader being killed with a single punch, and they couldn't help but cry out in alarm. But soon they were enraged. How could they tolerate the death of their leader in front of their eyes? They disregarded their own lives and surrounded Zhuowen, wanting to kill this human. Unfortunately, this human was too abnormal. He only casually punched out, and every punch was able to completely kill a soldier. Not long after, the entire beast army was slaughtered by Zhuowen. Every single one of them was killed. Of course, Zhuowen left one alive. This was also a soldier, but this soldier was scared out of his wits. When Zhuowen was constantly killing the soldiers, this soldier hid in fear and wanted to escape. However, he was caught by Zhuowen. Do you know where the temporal temple is? Zhuowen asked indifferently as he held the soldier who was scared out of his wits. The soldier was trembling, and he had already thrown away the long spear in his hand. He looked at the human in front of him in horror, and he was so scared that he couldn't speak. I'm asking you a question. Do you want to die? Zhuowen said with a frown. No. I'm telling you, the temporal temple is located in the deepest part of the temporal domain. It's the most mysterious place in the temporal domain, and it's the cave of Lord Ingsi. The soldier was so scared that he didn't dare to hide anything and told him everything about the temporal temple. After hearing this, Zhuan's expression became serious. From this soldier, he learned that there were many soldier squads in the temporal domain. They were all servants that Ingsi had subdued in the early years, and each of them was very strong. In particular, there were 3 soldier squads that were the most terrifying. The weakest of the soldiers was a heavenly Tao master, and the leader was a primordial chaos master. Each of these 3 soldier squads could easily kill a primordial chaos master and restrain a heaven's mandate master. It was said that these 3 soldier squads were guarding the outermost area of the temporal temple, and they resisted any outsiders who wanted to enter. Ingsi was naturally the master of the temporal temple. Zhuan estimated that Ingsi's strength should be around the 2nd step of the Tao confirming realm, but he didn't know what realm he was at. However, he was sure of one thing, and that was that the master of the temporal temple was definitely seriously injured and had less than 10% of his strength left. Even if Ingsi was a 2nd step Tao confirming realm expert, his strength was not as strong as before. Zhuan might not be afraid of such an existence. The soldier also mentioned that because Ingsi's life was unknown, it seemed that the soldier squads here had begun to covet the things in the temporal temple. If someone entered here with 3 temporal keys, they would definitely be fought over. This was also the reason why these soldier squads were so excited when they saw Zhuan. Zhuan let the soldier go and continued to move forward. Although he was careful, he still encountered many soldier squads along the way. However, Zhuan was too strong, and the soldier squads he encountered along the way were easily defeated and killed by Zhuan. Gradually, because Zhuan's movements were too loud, he completely attracted the attention of many soldier squads in the temporal domain. Therefore, soldier squads gathered one after another, determined to kill Zhuan. Unfortunately, Zhuan was too brave. With the Panga's sacred body, he was not afraid of a group battle at all. No matter how many soldier squads came, Zhuan basically killed them all. Many soldier squads were frightened and terrified. For a time, the soldiers in the temporal domain were in panic. After seeing Zhuan's terrifying strength, many soldier squads did not dare to come forward to kill Zhuan. In the depths of the temporal domain, a magnificent palace stood, surrounded by powerful temporal law. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.